You don't have long. If you don't make it back to the evacuation zone in time, Miriam will drive you insane. And you'll stay here forever. Beware of echo tanks. They are more aggressive than usual. Something's driving them up here from below. The rules are simple. Keep out of the military site. They have faced a new unknown enemy that set the entire anomaly in motion. Your presence here could be misunderstood. And most importantly, do not, under any circumstances, enter the Forbidden Zone.
Damn it! Enemy at 12 o'clock! Focus on the charger! Look out for the hedgehogs! Where the hell are you all fighting it from? Who's driving you up here?
What's up, tankers? Let's get our teeth into the best scouts and raiders on tracks, or wheels. That's right, light tanks. To get the most from these nippy little vehicles, you'll need to practice and to brush up on view range and concealment. Not long ago, we did some videos about those, so check them out if you need to. The links are in the description. Lights are often quick and tricky to spot, and they can have high-caliber howitzers or even autocannons. Low-tier lights don't have rolls, and calling them scouts would be a stretch. They're versatile, and their characteristics can vary a lot, and so can their armor. You can fight in them like a medium or sometimes even a heavy tank. From about Tier 5 or 6 upward, that's no longer the case. At that point, you start getting some real niche specialists. They're raiders and scouts that spot for teammates. Lights also gain a shared trait. They can move without it affecting their concealment. Whether standing or moving, you still won't get spotted before the same distance. This vehicle class only has 2 roles: tracked versatile light tanks and wheeled ones. First, let's deal with the Old Faithful, and then later we'll get to the wheeled lights and how they differ from their tracked classmates. Light tank gameplay depends less on the role and more on your own play style. Think of it in terms of passive and active. Passive players settle in and capitalize on their concealment. Active ones monopolize the map with their movement. Any light tank can play both ways. You can set yours for either passive, active, or somewhere in between. So how do you prepare a scout for battle? First, a lick of paint. Any camo on a vehicle's hull boosts its permanent concealment bonus, which is vital for a light tank. The more, the better. Train crew perks that improve view range and concealment. Keep your radio operator on your radar. They have a few good...
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
The Onslaught Legends series Season 4 is here. But Liberty finds Jockey, and Katsai, the last one for his team, will not be able to pull the 1v3.
Onslaught Legends Series champions will be cashback.
They do complete the Cinderella story.
Finds Akka and its Twilight and Liberty left wondering because it's not going to be the Ukrainian team of cashback. It's going to be W from the pits of hell coming through the lower bracket.
Akka blows up as well, and W completed 6-3 2 times in a row. OLS champion. I think Mafia are on Victory Street here on Himmelsdorf. They completely rewrite the map and rewrite all of the scripts that everyone had. It's going to be them taking the finals in a 5-1 fashion. Tune in to the action, September 30th through November 9th.
I think we're welcome back to the Onslaught Legends series Season 4. is struggling with the buttons, but I heard he's back though. So that was his mute impression. That was beautiful, Kihan. It's great.
I mean, a smile says more than 1,000 words, right? So that impression is what I wanted to make. But yeah, I was truly speechless because today is day of Czech and Slovak independence. Happy Independence Day, everyone here. And for us, it's also a very happy day because the Onslaught Legends Series Season 4, sponsored by AMD, is continuing with Phase 2. That means best of 7s all the way today, but that also means that there are no easy matches anymore for any team.
No, indeed, there are no easy matches anymore for anybody, including the OLF, which is also going to be taking place. You can see it with the 2 asterisks on the Sunday that's coming up. And then, of course, on the 9th of November, we'll be having the OLF finals together with the OLS Grand Finals as well. So a lot of World of Tanks action coming your way. We're back, which means that you'll see us Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and then next week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday to round it off, which also means that you can bolster your drops by quite a lot, those tokens, which we will be talking about soon. But first up, the prize pool, Kihan.
Yeah, the prize pool currently just shy of 50,000 euros for the EU server. This also means that you can still boost it, of course. The normal bundles will still be available until the end of the OLS. But actually the prediction bundles, which probably are the ones you are looking out for, those are going to be disabled tomorrow morning. So maybe you want to have a last look at the teams today and decide which team you are going to root for. 100% of the proceedings, of course, going towards the teams. And in those bundles, of course, you have the 2D style Iron Resolve. And if you predict correctly, you'll also have a badge that you can upgrade to a golden version. The silver one is exclusive to the Oracle bundles, but the golden one is what you're really looking for.
Exactly, to make yourself stand out as a prediction legend, which is what anybody wants. I can recommend it myself. I went with Mafia personally, Kihan. I'm not sure what about yourself.
Not yet. I am waiting until after today, because of course we had the mid-season break, a little bit of a meta change, but I don't really think it affected too much. I think the biggest change probably the strike damage from 400 to 450. Other than that, some slight adjustments to roll skills, but yeah, I think the strike damage is the biggest one. Talking about big ones, the CPUs that you're seeing on the screen currently, there are 18 of those, so the first and the second team of this season of OLS are going to be taking home an AMD Radeon RX 9070 XT each.
Yeah, that's, you know, getting to that grand final is not just important for, you know, the main prize, but these extra prizes on top of it as well. Nobody going home empty-handed in that one. Great to plug and play into your computer at any given point. So, a lot to play for these teams, and we saw in the first phase, Kihan, that it's kind of hard to tell where everybody really is.
Yeah, I think we had some positive surprises and some negative ones as well. I think the big elephant in the room we have to talk about is the performance of W, the back-to-back champions of Season 2 and 3, seriously underperforming. But we also had some, you know, rays of hope for new talent maybe. Not so new considering their lineup, but Weekend, which I believe we are going to be seeing in the first match today. They've been, I think, overperforming at least compared to expectations. And of course, here are the token earnings for all the streams today. It's going to be 5 OLS tokens up for grabs in the drops. And what can you get with that? Well, I think there's something for everyone, starting with a Lunsen C for 65 tokens. And it goes over other premium tanks, a 3D style for the 140, which currently is quite meta in Onslaught, by the way, after its 2.0 buffs, 2D styles, premium days, expirable reserves, consumables, something for everyone's taste.
I already talked about it a little bit, but the standings here, you can see Weekend there with 14 points. They did drop off a little bit at the end of phase 1, but they still have 14 points, Kihan, which is a lot because it means W needs to win 2 matches to even overtake that back marker, because together with cashback on 14 as well, W to get into that top 4 for the playoffs would need to catch up those 5 points in the phase 2. That is 2 wins whatever way you look at it. So knowing that there's 6 teams left and they play against each other once, Gihan, it means W needs a very strong road throughout this phase 2. We're going to start it off with cashback versus weekend. For W, that's ideal. That's those back markers taking points away from each other. Ideally, they take a little bit of points in a tiebreaker. Then it's hit and run versus yogurt, and then we're going to finish off with W versus mafia. We talked about it. W needs a very strong phase 2, and normally speaking, their phase 2 always better than their phase 1.
Well, first of all, we're going to start it off with a Ukrainian derby. It's going to be cashback against Weekend. And of course, before the season, there were quite a lot of player changes in between those teams. So here it's already right back into the mind games in between those two. I mean, of course, you understand how those players that were previously in your team are going to play, how they react, etc. But of course, new meta, new everything. They did play each other once in phase 1, and it was actually the closest it could get. Weekend taking the victory there in a 3-2 tiebreaker that they should have won in a 3-1 fashion, but Cashback managed to snatch a point away, and that's why they're all even now, both on 14.
14 points each, and Weekend actually with the higher percentage to win. 61% in the community prediction. That's quite a lot for Weekends. People still believing in them after their pretty convincing showing in phase 1. Whoever wins this match will currently put themselves at the top of the leaderboard as well. So, you know, that's always nice on top of it.
Yeah, to also remind everyone, of course, we are in phase 2 now. We are all at best of 7s. That also means that the points for each match get bumped up by 1. So instead of 3, you're getting 4 for a clean victory. And if you manage to take it in tiebreaker, you are taking 3, but you have to submit 1 of those points to the losing team. I said so far, though, standout performer for Weekend here, 1.7 KD. He does have almost 3.4 average damage. And, well, while he's playing damage dealer tanks, to be honest, well, except maybe a little bit for the BZ75, I mean, yeah, quite the crazy performance, because this one is only measured against other OLS players.
It's a pretty good resurgence from ISET, you know, from being dropped out of Cashback to coming back with Weekend and then clapping Cashback. You know, for him, it's also bittersweet, right? Coming back in, proving his worth and proving that he can be on the top of the board. And moving on, it's going to be Himmels banned by Cashbacks and River banned by Weekend. Gives us Morovanka as a very first map. Afterwards, we're going to slow it down on Siegfried line. We'll see if the mid-season update changed something on Siegfried line, Kihan. And then last but not least of regular time, it's going to be Pilsen.
Yeah, Cliff, the tiebreaker. Interestingly enough, Cliff, one of the slower maps by now in the pool. Normally you would consider it to be extremely quick, but yeah, teams don't like to gamble so much anymore on it. But of course, first of all, Morovanka pretty quick. Siegfried Lion, very, very slow though.
Yeah, and I just wonder if the mid-season update is going to change it or make it even more slow, because, you know, the strike damage got buffed. Kiana, we saw on Siegfried Line, it quite often comes down to that strike damage.
Yeah, we saw a lot of teams kind of playing for control, playing for the strikes, and then you end up with kind of the split of the map where one of the teams is controlling one strike, the other one is controlling the other, and then they're just rotating the tanks around to basically, you know, stock up the nuclear arsenal before the showdown at the end of it. First of all, though, caster predictions. I am the only one with the Weekend logo to my name. Proudly so. I just came back home from vacation, so, you know, it sounded like the correct thing to do. But everyone else of you is rooting against community prediction. Let's see if it holds true, though. Cashback coming in with double BZ75, 1 CS, a K91, a 140, a Hori, and an RHM. That is an interesting lineup.
Yeah, Weekend a little bit more simplistic. Triple BZ, an i7, W50M, and an Object 140. The Hori is the interesting one there together with the K91, right? We saw it quite a few times. I feel like they're one of the only teams that uses Hori still, but they seem to like it. And to be honest, I can't even remember a bad performance from that Hori either.
No, you just see so few. That means every time it's being picked, it's just in that extremely special role.
where it is supposed to deal damage. First of all, though, Akka getting spotted going towards the middle strike as Sunshine and Iset and those two BZs driving there as well. Akka makes it to the strike. A little bit of yoga there, but Sunshine taking a big one, I believe, by the Hori for going there. And the Hori gets punished a little bit.
A little bit of damage, but not significant amount. He's dropped to 2.2. Weekend taking over 1-2 line, but they will not be able to progress from that. They have the cap, but we can already see that mid-strike being taken by Akka, which also will generate a mini-strike with that big strike. So taking that into consideration, the cap will not work out. Liberty can take this uncontested as well. Clansic will try to repush it together with Hellwrap. You can see those 2 tanks moving over there, but Clansic already spotted out. Liberty will take the strike on time as well, and Clansic taking a big one there, I think even from Little in the back lines. Will take back the window position. We haven't seen this played almost ever. The first strike being used, there comes a mini strike on towards Iset, connects as well. Good reset so far. They have one more big strike, and of course they might be able to generate some mini strikes in the meantime.
Yeah, you can see currently that Liberty is still sitting on a level 3 plane as well. That, of course, very important to generate information for the resets that need to come in at some point in time. That being said, though, Cashback are not utilizing the RHM to the fullest of its abilities, I don't think. They could be taking a bit more map control, but instead the RHM is being rotated back, just like the 140 and the K91 actually, on the one line. The plane comes down, the strike should as well. Good reset onto Iset going out here, so they are going to not delay the strike actually. Reset on towards Sunshine, Iset taking another shot. Akka is able to double bush here. Iset kind of caught out in the middle here as Vladislav and Twilight also pushing in. They're coming up, they're coming over. Iset looks to be the first target.
Iset is the first one in the BZ75 to get focused out. Trash Panda in the meantime re-pushing on towards Mind Break in that 140, and that 140 is in trouble. Down towards the one shot, they could pick him up quickly. That would be the Inspire gone, but Mindbreaker still holding strong and living. Trash Panda is going to die to Brain Breaker, and this repush from Cashback with all of the information available, it finds so much success. It finds 3 players from Weekend, and the rest of them not really doing too much better. Ascano is getting chased down 1-2 line. Evil, Hellwrap, and Clownzik are the last ones standing, but Cashback take their moment, take their opportunity, and they strike off of that information that they have, and it's a good strike as well, and it will find them the first round on Moravanka.
And that is a Cashback that we've not seen in quite a while actually, a Cashback that looks very calm and collected, fully in control as well. There wasn't a single point in time where they needed to rush any kind of reaction. Weekend looking almost foolish here in this first attempt at capping out the base. And yeah, Cashback just with all the answers, a very good round to start off phase 2 for them at least.
I mean, they're going to be very happy with that. They use all of the information they have successfully. They find a good angle to repush from and make it happen as well. So really, really, really good stuff from Cashback. And that's where, you know, the light is pretty impactful and can contribute a lot, because it's all off of the initial info even. And we saw Weekend struggle against Mafia as well, and that was also down, I think, a little bit to a team that can stop this quick aggression Weekend likes to do, because now you see them drive onto the cap, and what do they have after?
Yeah, what did they have after? Not really a whole lot. You could also see, I think it was Iset in the BZ75, like almost at the edge, and then at the end in front of the cap even. You know, just trying to make it impossible to strike reset both of those BZs, but at the end that turned out to be his downfall. 2 shots of damage for Iset here, only 1 for Trash Panda, and I think for the team of Cashback, it was just like, all right, they are going towards the cap, let's just, you know, play our tanks. I mean, the Object 140 dying or going low, having to commit in, is maybe not the best tank to use at this point in time, because you lose the Inspire. But I think at that point, the damage had already been done.
I feel like the game was already falling into its final pieces for Cashback at that point, and somebody has to get focused out. You just don't generally want it to be your 140, but it doesn't really matter in that stage either. Little actually in the Hori, very good performance again though. I mean, 6k coming out of the Hori. You got to remember, he doesn't have any strikes, he doesn't pick up any big strikes either, so that's just raw damage altogether from that Hori.
And to be honest, I think on Moravanka it is not the worst of picks, because whereas a lot of tanks, like for example BZs, struggle because of all the fences, I mean, the Hori has, well, AP. And AP doesn't really care about fences, especially when you start with 360 penetration when it leaves the barrel. So good for him. Good performance as well by Little. And this means cashback up 1-0. And whereas in Phase 1 that would be already kind of, you know, a big thing, here in Phase 2, I mean 1-0, it's good to have around, that's for sure, but best of 7 is still a lot of ground to cover. You cannot be on match point anymore after just one map.
No, indeed, you need at least the second map as well to get to that match point. So they have opportunities ahead of themselves to bring it even. So we'll see how much we really read into this first map as well, right? Because even if cashback wins this 2-0, we then go to Siegfried line, which is honestly going to be the interesting one in this matchup. Like, I'm really curious to see if the mid-season did anything for that map. I don't think so. We haven't seen any, like, what was the main change? There was that ability for those heavies, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Bounty Hunter got changed a little bit. The cooldown reduction was prolonged. I think it was even doubled from like 15 to 30 seconds. But in turn, also the healing for each target that you hit was increased as well. And the thing is, with the Bounty Hunter ability, you don't really want to use it, right, if you're still full HP. So we'll have to actually
you don't really
check
want to use
if
it at
that
all.
matters a whole lot.
The Bounty Hunter ability is one you don't want to use at all unless you really, really need the heal. It's like you play off of its DPM and you tend to not really want to use the heal.
Yeah, so I don't think it matters like too much. And then also there was one more change to the Inspire mediums. I think the experience gain for you know, for inspiring and damage being dealt from allies then was changed. But to be honest, that doesn't really matter so much in OLS. There it's just about winning or losing the round as a team collectively. So overall, yeah, I think the strike change is the biggest one. Here you can see the Phase 2 score, though. I alluded to it already earlier. Weekend there taking the 3-2 victory, and I think that was still at a very early stage in Phase 1, where, you know, everyone was kind of surprised by what they were doing. Now, however, it is Phase 2, and Cashback so far have done their homework. Double BZ75 coming out from them, together with double E50M, a 140, an STRV, and an RHM.
A 140 for Weekend, an E50M, and then 5 BZs. Pretty straightforward for the Weekend side. Very straightforward lineup, and I mean, I think you can imagine what they want to do with it.
Well, Weekend, I think once again their approach is fairly straightforward. At least that is what would be indicated by picking 5 BZs. I'm still not the biggest fan of those, but I do believe that in Phase 1 they were the most popular tank to be played by all the 8 teams combined, so I think this package of like mobility, alpha damage, and HP just roaming around the map is kind of unrivaled at this point in time, as they are sending a lot of tanks towards the cap, whereas Cashback are taking more map control. Arca taking the first shot of the game, though, but immediate retaliation on towards the team of Weekend.
Yeah, Little and Twilight realized that they can't really be where they want to be right now, which is not there for sure. They were trying to pressure on the outside, but now Information Tower gets used by Weekend, actually. Thrush Panda takes a lot of damage for that one, though. Minus 1.4k on him, 12 seconds left on the cap, but the Eastern Strike already being taken. An all-in play from Weekend yet again. Thrush Panda dropping low. The Information Tower proves not to be worth it. Will not get on time to reset Mindbreaker either. 2 seconds. The strikes will come out. Will connect on towards Hellrap, and then Sunshine taking a shot from Vladislav as well, meaning that right now Cashback has their angles covered. They're still waiting with Twilight and Little for the opportune moment, and Mindbreaker fancies himself this BZ. I mean, in pure DPM, the BZ is always losing, especially when he's this low. Mindbreaker needs to be careful because in his E50M behind, Little starting to peak as well. That's a big old strike, though. All connecting on towards 3, and Little finds the shot as well. Twilight not missing that one either. Hellrap feels the pain down towards 1.3.
After all of this, though, Cashback do not have access to any more strikes. At this point in time, they do not even have baby strikes on their tanks here, so the cap is still ongoing, but there seem to be reset angles on towards the tanks on the cap from Weekend here, as Mindbreaker chooses to evacuate against 2 tanks that he is fighting on the 7-8 line, and now it is full-on pushing time. 4k HP up currently for the team of Cashback. Twilight delaying a little bit. Wants to maybe even go for the ram. He gets the resets, but now he seems to be stuck. That is a very disjointed push.
Yeah, Twilight had an idea, but he wasn't followed quickly enough by the rest of the team, because he was a little bit premature there, wanting to go in, wanting to make the kill, but it was slightly too early. Had to wait for his E50Ms, and 1 of 2 is exploding for that one as well, and Weekend trying to bring it back, but the initial disadvantage they had, minus 4,000, it is something that's almost impossible to overcome at this moment in time. And yeah, it looks scrappy from Cashback to execute the cap, a repush, but with the advantage they already generated, Kihan, it is enough, or should be enough, to bring them across the finish line. And yeah, Mindbreaker is potentially going to die, and he will, but still, it's 7.5 KHP versus 2.7.
And keep in mind, Cashback also have that light tank alive that you can never underestimate in the late game here. Vladislav and Kano not really able to damage each other at this point in time, but Liberty coming over, taking a lot of damage though, down towards 1200, but Kano is on 1 shot here. The last shot for him as Liberty picks it up to make it a 3 versus 3. And now Iset as a 1 shot, just probably waiting for Vladislav to finish him off. Vladislav going for evil, and Brainbreaker shuts it down. So Trash Panda left to look at the ruin of this cap strategy that was coming in from Weekend.
And Brainbreaker, if the UI there is correct, 6k damage in the STRV. Would be interesting to see that. He probably got some shots in on the BZ of Trash Panda in the beginning as well, but again, Cashback, they find so much initial damage for this cap attempt by Weekend. Triple strikes, could be double strikes, could be Z shots as well. Everything working out for Cashback, and this is the difficulty for Weekend. If they don't get to execute this aggressive strat immediately, they seem to struggle a lot on having a follow-up. And for Cashback, the follow-up right now is a 2-0 scoreline, and Keyhand starting to sweat a little bit for his prediction.
Yeah, well, Weekend not really looking sharp. Seems like they were on vacation just like me, albeit...
I know you're not on vacation. Whenever I look at your status, it's like vacation.
Right now, actually.
You don't consider this as a vacation?
I mean, to be honest, it could be. Casting with you is always a blast. And yeah, the in-game UI did not lie. Brainbreaker, 6,200 and a kill to his name.
Yeah, so the UI was right. 6.2, very, very good amount of damage. Vladislav as well across the board. Nobody really failing too much. Twilight there, it was too early, to be honest. Like I like the, you know, the eagerness, the willingness to make the push, but it was a bit too early still at that point. Then again, Little could probably have boosted to Twilight in the beginning when Twilight was going for that hold on in front of the cab to be in a better position, because I think he took a lot of damage from behind as well. But luckily enough for them, they already had such an advantage. It was really hard to you know, lose it at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't really that throwable anymore. That leaves Muravanka over and done with. Cashback taking the quick 2-0, half the way there in this best of 7, but now it's Weekend's pick, and they chose, interestingly enough, Siegfried line. So I think here it is fair to say and fair to expect that we are probably in for a little bit of a longer game, at least judging by what we have seen in, you know, the phase 1 of the OLS. Although at the end, I think we did see a very, very fast strategy with a lot of Type 5s that ended up collapsing on towards enemy tanks. So it is possible to play this map faster, but I think the execution is pretty difficult.
Yeah. But maybe we'll see something between these two. Then again, I just find that we will continue on the same trend of Siegfried line before the mid-season update, and maybe even more so, because the added 50 damage of the strike, you know, it ticks up over multiple strikes, of course, right? So, if anything, you know, the strike even go a little bit more like, if you just take 7 strikes, you know, we'll kill a guy and then we're chilling.
Mm-hmm. I think that is also one of the things that needs to be said on Siegfried line, that a lot of tanks, a lot of teams that were after maybe the mid game kind of down in HP, they had lost on the trades. They were trying to get like an all-in commitment towards the end to like kill one tank, so they were up in that department. It is, of course, a viable strategy with the rules in place, but getting the timing right is not the easiest thing in the world.
No, for sure not the case, to be honest. I remember that was between CTR and can't remember the name now. Last OCS match, I was watching it. Foley in the 140 surviving behind that strike forever because, you know, they didn't have a strike and then peeked one angle, then peeked the other angle. They never wanted to kill him. Yeah, this is kind of gameplay we could see, but then again, Weekend likes to push. So maybe they can push. We have seen like a push through, was it even cashback, I think, push through the cap almost immediately towards the 6-7 line. Surprises can happen, even on Siegfried.
Indeed, and especially since Siegfried is a map where, you know, you cannot be sure if the opponent is going to be playing light tank or not. Both is a viable option there as well. You can find yourself in a situation as a team where, you know, you picked a light tank, you were firmly expecting the long game, and all of a sudden there's like, you know, 3 Type 5s and double BZ in your face, and all of a sudden the tanks that are made to like snipe from distance need to engage in close quarters combat, which they are definitely not made for. So let's see. Judging by the 2 games so far, I think it's fair to expect that, you know, Weekend will be taking the more aggressive approach, although so far it's not been working out for them. Let's just wait and see. Cashback, quadruple BZ75, 1 Type 5 heavy, a 140, and a 430U, not an E50M.
Weekend in return, triple BZ, triple T57 heavy, and a Bliskovice. Now, that's a bit interesting, right? That triple T57 heavy can.
I mean, I like it and I hate it at the same time. If it works, it looks beautiful, and if it doesn't, it looks like trash. So we are going to be possibly walking in between those 2 extremes here in the match. For Weekend, the name of the game is going to be getting those T57 heavies in towards the battle, getting at least 2 clips out, and then you're in money territory, right? As soon as you get 2 clips, and then you're still alive as the T57, that is when you actually start doing the damage that's important. That being said, though, both teams driving towards the cap. That is, an interaction and a half. First damage on towards Clownzik, but now the brawl has really started. The BZs by Cashback kind of in a crossfire here, and the T57's coming close.
The 57s want to peak, but right now Evil waiting for an opportunity. One more T57 joining, and now Cashback playing off of the cap. Kano coming in as well. It's the overpush from Weekend on towards Mindbreaker was very first one. That BZ75, the T57s starting to unleash, finding those clips as well. Kano has one more shot available. It's not enough to kill Mindbreaker because the heal keeps him alive. And is that enough for Cashback is a big question. Liberty will take the strike in that 140, but he's so far away from the battle right now. Twilight and Brainbreaker will find Evil, chase him away, but Vladislav still surrounded. He will pick up Sunshine though, who was trying to get out of there, and now Vladislav in a lot of trouble himself in that BZ75, getting clipped out as Evil finds Twilight. Brainbreaker will return the favor, but so far it's looking like Weekend have the overmatch with this added DPM of those T57 heavies, 4v3, and don't forget Little 4200 HP Type 5 heavy.
Yeah, Little probably trying to catch any tanks right now that he can, but he cannot really do so. He's ever so slow in that Type 5 heavy. I said off of reload, one make that 2 shots, trying to do the other ones as well. Another shot from Trash Panda coming in. I said connecting his last 2 shells in the magazine. A shot coming in from Little, but it's not going to help Kano on reload as well. But Trash Panda chasing down Braidbreaker, doesn't care about the Type 5 heavy, and Weekend have the better focus fire together with that absolutely brutal clip potential of those T57 heavies. They manage to surprise Cashback. They put the first point on the board.
Yeah, those 57s end up being too much for Cashback, to be honest. All 2 of the 3 actually surviving will be reflected in the damage numbers as well, I think. That burst potential combined with, you know, the BZs to follow up, too much to handle for cashback, especially because you have that Type 5, you know, I have that giant pinata that doesn't get shot at, that keeps the HP in balance, but the reality of the situation is a lot worse than what you think. That 140 and 430 are so long out of this game. Even though it was only like 5 to 10 seconds, that 5 to 10 seconds is forever in a battle like this. It's 2 dead BZs, basically. And you can see the damage. It is where you want it to be, right? It's the tanks that you need to do it that do it. Not all 3 T-57s can have a great game, because one of them is going to get focused out, but even Evil has 2 clips coming out of his tank. So that's really, really good stuff. Yeah, Brainbreaker does what he's supposed to in that 430U, but you see the issue there is those BZs were just left without any real support, or what felt like real support. They were waiting for the 140 and the 430U to come in, and it's just too long.
I mean, you could see that, you know, Brainbreaker was trying to do what he could. He was in the game,
sure,
in the shootout, as soon as he was able to, but
like,
yeah.
How much of it was done on that 1T-57 that he was chasing down in the last 30 seconds?
That's the question, right? And the T-57s, of course, like, they unload their first clips. That's like 4,800 damage immediately. And as you said, like, the damage that you deal first in the shootout is the most important one, because it helps you get those tanks that you're focusing out of the game. Whereas, you know, the 430U is like, yeah, I'm doing damage continuously. And the same thing for the Type 5 Heavy, right? It was second in damage on the team of Cashback, but realistically, did it contribute?
No, he probably
Not really.
He probably shot the right targets, but you know, it's 4,200 useless HP. That's where the weekend lineup thrives in a way, because you are going to shoot one of them at some point when they're all this close. You cannot ultimately focus out everything at the same time. Where, you know, the Type 5 is easy to ignore. He was on a different corner. It's like, okay, nice, interesting, good Type 5. You stay there. He's not in the fight. Even just being in front of another tank is being in the fight, you know, even if they don't shoot you.
If you think about it as well, this was the first time, I guess, where Cashback really tried to match the aggression of Weekend, right? On Moravanka, they were more reactive and kind of did well with this, but here, the only reason why Weekend were able to pick up those kills so easily and why the push got called onto those BZs was that, well, the BZs from Cashback were in the cap, right? They were over-pushable. So Cashback immediately getting countered up on getting aggressive makes me wonder if they're not just going to revert back to what they did, which is, you know, check the first aggression from Weekend and then just react.
It's indeed the first time they went head-to-head in Weekend. You know, they have been playing this style for the entire season. So when it comes to a brawl, they're pretty difficult to beat, right? So we take that into consideration.
And the fact is that even sometimes the RNG wasn't in their favor. Like, we saw one, maybe even 2 low HP kill shots where the T-57s were out of bullets, but someone was there to save it. And, you know, those low HPs, it doesn't matter if you're 1 HP or 10,000. Your gun always deals the same amount of damage. So, yeah. And the thing as well, like, the T-57s have kind of lowish alpha, but the rest of the tanks on the Weekend lineup had kind of large alpha with, except for the Bliskavitsa, kind of low DPM. So you don't really want to waste those BZ shots on targets that have, you know, 100, 200 HP, but they made it work. And, beautifully as well.
Yeah, so for them it was great, you know, they bring it 2-1 now, and this is why this map would be interesting to watch in a way. It's just kind of curious to see where we're going to end up, right, in this matchup. And so far, gotta say, I am maybe expecting a 2-2 after this map, Kian, because if we can force a brawl again, who knows?
We are not there yet, of course, and I think Cashback are probably going to maybe readjust a little bit, and I think that is what we are seeing, but not in the way that I expected. Triple Type 5 heavy, okay, so they would be ready to receive some T-57 aggression, but double Batchat, an E4 and an RHM, this is a complete U-turn when it comes to playstyle.
Yeah, altogether. But Weekend, triple BZ, Mouse, T-57, 268, VZTD. Two of those tanks have amazing HEs against those bats, by the way.
And that is the 268 and the WZTD that you're speaking about. Not completely ditching the T-57s. I kind of like it. The T-57 can be absolutely brutal, especially in close quarters combat. Good plane as well coming out from Liberty, seeing 6. So he's only missing the T-57. This also means that he immediately can take the information tower, further elevating the information for his team. It gets used, so full information in there for cashback. And Weekend, they've gone aggressive yet again. They are in the cap with those BZs, but they're unable to punish Little, who is going for the strike. And Brainbreaker completely flanking around already.
Yeah, that's very early on in that Batchat, taking deep distance, but you got to be careful because Weekend could just bounce at any given moment. Aka is close, but doesn't need to commit right now because they do have that one strike available that will find a big reset. That's a lot of damage. Trash Panda activating his boosters by accident. You see he's trying to reverse, but those boosters are keeping him in a position where that is pretty hard. Hellrap though, look at that, gets some damage from Brainbreaker from behind, and Aka finds a shot against Clownsy crossing over, but still there needs to be a reset, and who's going to do it? Weekend might be gambling on pushing the Type 5 close enough to then overpush. It's Aka and Vladislav now knocking on the door saying hello to these BZs, and in return they will need to decap and keep it on for a little while longer, as Little in the meantime flanks behind Hellrap, and now the BZs have to go, but that's a wall of Type 5 heavies in front of them. Can they get the connections they need already? Sunshine bouncing, I said, now focusing out Aka, and that is what Cashback wants. They want these Type 5s to be the ones to take the beating, to take the bruising even, as in the meantime they are starting to pick off those 268, that VZTD. They're now pushing on towards the 268 next. Mindbreaker coming close as well. Twilight trying to stay alive. He was the other Type 5. He will get clipped out by Evil and Clownzik, so that's -1 of the Japanese heavies, and now Cashback needs to delete this 268 if they want to get into this game, because their guys in the cap, they will not last forever.
Indeed, Vladislav taking a bunch of the damage here. Vladislav able to shut down Sunshine, however. And now Clownsik coming in with that mouse. Another super heavy, trying to make its presence known. A good shot in towards Vladislav, but Clownsik is taking damage from those bad shots. Vladislav is going to fall. Evil coming in with yet another clip in the T-57. Unable to completely put it in towards the enemy tanks, but Aka goes down towards one shot. The heal coming off is going to save him a little bit, but maybe not for too long. But still, Weekend down towards 4 tanks here. Cashback have everything to play with and to play for, but Iset shuts down Aka.
Manbreaker finds a shot, but now Little behind. Iset already starting to clip out. Iset looking back, but that doesn't really do too much either. Evil coming in with another clip, but it's going to be hard for him to find the target he's looking for. Mindbreaker in the meantime finds a shot against Iset. Evil wants to get Little out of the fight, but Iset and Clownzik are not going to be winning this. Iset's going to be boosting away, and Trash Panda getting flanked by one of the bad shots as well, and now Iset will not make it. Ooh, actually Mindbreaker misses. However, Liberty and the RHM there. He's also still in this battle to make up for it now in a 3v3 with double HP for Cashback. It's going to be one amazing recovery if we can manage to bring this one back.
I mean, 5.5 versus 2k HP, that would indeed be crazy, especially now that Trash Panda is down towards one shot and Mindbreaker manages to pick up Clownzik. So Evil in the T-57 is going to be the last tank alive for his team. Takes the first shot of damage from Brainbreaker, even misses one of those, so he is not able to clip out the bat shot anymore. He will do the rest of his shots, but it does not matter. Cashback managed to strike back.
3-1 for Cashback, match point as well. This was actually very, pretty strategy in a way. It worked out wonderful for them in this regard. Holding the camp for just long enough for the medium tanks to pick off those TDs and the back lines and then come back in. And even, that one way that they're approaching with those double Type 5s, it is hard for Weekend to focus out one of them. We saw that.
Exactly. And the fact as well, like, you can never give enough credit, in my opinion, in a situation like this to the light tank player. he immediately spotted out 6. They saw what kind of a setup they were playing against, and you could see the adjustment as well with the double bat shot going wide immediately, taking the artillery strike, buying time for their team, and then going to assassinate those tank destroyers. You can see Hellrap, he only was able to do a singular shot of damage, so completely negated by those French autoloading mediums going and roaming around. And yeah, Brainbreaker top of the board with the bat shot, followed by Little in position number 2. You could see Cashback were trying to buy time successfully.
Yeah, they did a good job, and then they end up with the tanks that they need to do the damage, dealing the damage. That double bat shot coming in and performing strong, and it's tough to play a bat shot in a map that's, you know, all heavies and TDs, so they did a really good job nonetheless.
And you said it, this leaves us at a match point now for the team of Cashback already. Moravanka and Siegfried line have been played. We go on to Pilsen, and Cashback are a team that's known to sometimes cook on that.
Indeed, it is a team that can be very good on Pilsen, but we also saw them lose out against weaker opponents on Pilsen, though. They're not with us in phase 2, but we saw them lose 2-0. So it's a bit hit or miss still.
Then again, the teams had some time, of course, exactly 2 weeks in fact, to improve the strategies, to get used to the slight adjustments that were made. So overall, I am quite curious what we should expect from both of those teams. I think it is also the first time in OLS, at least Season 4, that we now saw Siegfried line being played this quickly. Both teams not willing to play that long game with the strikes that we were talking about. Instead, I think the first game on Siegfried line might have been, so far at least, the fastest one in the entire match.
Sure, this was indeed the fastest one into the entire match. It's weird when a Siegfried line battle is the fastest one. Yeah,
so when it comes to a potential tiebreaker, I know it's weird to say it when, you know, Cashback is up 3-1.
I need the
Weekend for the 3.
I need Weekend to win another game, to be honest. Me and Phil both, actually. starting to lag behind, Keyhand.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, I saw like the community predictions as well, so I thought I wasn't that far off. But it seems like, at least for now, it seems like 61% of people that voted were wrong.
61% of people were wrong, Kian. Indeed. It can happen. You cannot trust them.
Swarm intelligence is not always so intelligent.
Exactly, Kian.
What are we going to see? I think I still remember Cashback with some bait strategies in the finals of Season 3 against W.
Bait strategy. Elaborate.
I think there was like some cap strategy with RHMs that they tried to execute.
Yeah. And then what happened? They almost won it, but something happened. I don't remember what.
I think they somehow got reset in a very dumb way.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
I think so too. I definitely remember what you're talking about, though. I mean, not exactly, but, you know, close enough. I just remember an RHM getting reset. I just don't remember how, you know?
Yeah, same here. Anyway, though, that was then, and this is now. Cashback, no RHM shenanigans this time around. It is an IS-4 triple T-57. The tank suddenly make that double, but it's still rising in popularity together with double Type 5, a Batchat, and an E-50M.
In return, Weekend, sticking to those BZs, 4 of them, a T-57, a 268V4, and a E4. They really love the BZs, it's their preferred playstyle, but you gotta be careful when you lean too much into one playstyle, people start countering you.
And to be honest, with the performance of Weekend in Phase 1, I think it might be worth for people, and teams more likely, to look into countering a Weekend, and that, except for one game so far in this match, is seemingly a little bit what has happened. Cashback opening with the mediums towards the 1 line. They do want to get that strike. Meanwhile, Weekend very aggressively once again are pushing those BZs towards the strike.
2 through the outside into the cap, onto the mid strike. In return, Little taking a strike on 1-2 line as well. So it's going to be hard here for Weekend to cap out because Cashback is matching them on this kind of a play, you know. No light tank for cashback, very heavy as well with those type 5s, the burst behind it, the 57s, Twilight is blocking. So far, so good for either team.
I mean, no damage taken yet. I think both teams are just trying to figure out what the other is doing. There are obviously no light tanks, so there wasn't any initial information. That's why we didn't really see any, you know, aggression at the start of the game. Little with a good shot in towards Sunshine, though, gets a little bit of time reset as well. Not that that is crucial here at this point in time. What's more interesting is Aka starting the march of the Elephants across the open field with the Type 5. Damage in towards Sunshine as well. I think Cashback once again want to utilize these Type 5 heavies as door openers, as breaches, as bruisers.
In this case, he was used as a mobile shield actually for Liberty until the very last moment when Liberty said, you know, it's okay, Aka, I'm just going to go past. Now 57 from behind, starting to clip out as well. Finds a full clip, uncovered angle. Brainbreaker and Mindbreaker, the two breakers together. Breaker duos even, now getting strike together as well, as now Weekend realize they got to do something, get out of there, get out of the line of sight of those Type 5 heavies. Brainbreaker needs to get another clip here to make that play worth it. The damage was good, but needs to do it once more. He does come off reload. Can he get all four? He's into the third shot now. He has one more in the chamber, and I think he'll get it, but Trash Panda being kept alive by the heal from those BZs. And now Mindbreaker trying to do some damage back, but it's scrappy as 66 is pretty close as well. The 50M chasing down the T57 on the other side, who's getting repushed by the 268V4. Now Hellrap getting pushed back as well, and it's a little bit left, right, and everywhere, but so far in the chaos, it seems to be Cashback edging themselves ahead slightly, but Evil finds another strike, and they are not able to kill Trash Panda just yet either, so Weekend holding on.
Weekend holding on, but for how long can they? Because Liberty has arrived with the T57, another clip. He blows up Hellrap. He still has a shot remaining. Double kill. Trash Panda to bite the dust, and Mindbreaker bringing Sunshine towards a one-shot. It is 7,000 HP for either team, but the gun advantage is there, and Liberty is going to reload Sunshine, getting some more ramming damage before getting shut down. But I think Weekend do not have anything really left to make a play with here. It's too many guns that they're fighting against.
Yeah, the full HP 268V4 is more of a liability now than an actual asset. No turret on that one, has to push in somewhere, has to find a connection, and Aka seems to be the target of choice as well. Liberty trying to hold the angle. Vladislav is hunting though. They know Kano is a one-shot. Evil gets a shot by Aka. Iset from behind. Little finds the strike. That's important. Now Evil needs to find a kill on Aka. Can he do it in the E4? He does find it, but Vladislav already from behind. The bad shot 2515 now moving in as well. I said you can see not having a third. It's just pretty tough to play from. Now getting clipped from behind, getting shot by the E50M. Finds a little bit of ramming damage, but it's not nearly enough. And Little coming in, and I said knows he cannot activate the ability because of the fact that there is the Juggernaut getting tracked in one shot. But it does not matter as Cashback show up in phase number 2 with a convincing 4-1 scoreline over Weekend. Good stuff there from Cashback. Solid performance.
Yeah, solid performance for them. I think they got caught a little bit off guard on Siegfried line number 1, but other than that, really, it was a extremely mature showing that we have just witnessed from Cashback coming in here. An important victory as well for them. They temporarily, at least, are going to claim the first spot on the leaderboard for themselves. Of course, that is still subject to possible change, as other teams are going to play. But yeah, for Weekend, maybe a little bit of a reality check. They possibly even got carried away during the first half or 2/3 of the, phase 1, but here now they're kind of continuing their streak of losses that we've seen at the end of phase 1, and it almost feels like a little bit of a stomp here.
It's a convincing win for Cashback, that's for sure, to be honest. Evil doing a good amount of 6k, but across the Cashback lineup, everybody kind of doing what they were expected. The Type 5s being the anchor, the wall, doing still
meatballs.
Yeah, still doing what they're supposed to. You can see though there is a deficit for Weekend, in terms of like how heavy the lineup is. There is I'd say Cashbacks is pretty heavy altogether. IS-4, double Type 5 heavy, double T57 with the burst, E50M then, and then the BAT to round it off. Okay, the BAT is light, but you know, if you go head for head, IS-4 is heavier than a BZ. Type 5s are heavier as well. The 57s have the burst. We can have that brawl, but they never really got to brawl with all 7. It was like dispersed little skirmishes here and there, and they were kind of lacking that burst where you saw the 57s actually be pretty damn annoying. And of course that E50M is always going to be a potent tank.
And the fact as well that, you know, Cashback always had the tanks in the fight that are kind of annoying for BZs to engage upon. The Type 5 Heavy, not the easiest to penetrate, but even if you hit the weak spots, there's a lot of HP to chew through, and the BZs don't really have a lot of DPM. And also Mindbreaker in that IS-4, he was like side-scraping behind a wreck, and the IS-4, you know, if it's side-scraping, good luck penetrating.
Yeah, the IS-4 is also just an annoying tank for the BZ, to be honest, to deal with, simply because, you know, the BZ gun not all that great, so against IS-4, it's pretty tough.
All right, that was the first match of the Phase 1 at this time. Unlike in Phase 1, Cashback are having the better end of it against Weekend. We'll be right back after some replays. The AMD Onslaught Legends Series Season 4 has arrived. And with it comes the chance to reward the players and yourself too. Boost the prize pool by purchasing team bundles. If the team you rooted for with a bundle wins, so do you by being able to upgrade the included style to a shiny golden version. Contribute now. And you just saw now the trailer for the bundles that are still increasing the prize pool with 100% of the proceedings going towards the players. And today, I cannot mention it enough, is the last chance for you to pick up the prediction bundles. The normal ones will still be available, but if you want to root for a team and have your chance or your shot at the golden version, then tonight is, the time when you should consider buying one. That being said, though, upcoming match, Hit against Yogurt, a clear favorite against a team that always wants to get into those playoff positions, Daki, but never manages to.
Well, they managed this time around. That's a good question. Only time can tell the story. Now, Hit and Run, they didn't seem so dominant in Phase 1, but they did end up winning it.
Yeah, so nominally the best team here, playing against, I believe, 5th place Yogurt right now. Only 5th because they won the direct comparison match against W, of all things. But of course, they want to do something they haven't done before, and that is get into those top 4 spots. A win today against Hit and Run would be the first step, but, a hit and run victory against them is also a tough ask.
For sure. It is going to be very hard. Franek, top player for Hit and Run, always performing, never really doing the big blowout damage, but across the board always very solid. 3.7 KDPG, 3.8k KD as well. Just a very, very solid player. They will need him in China as well.
Exactly, because later in the year, at the end of November, we of course have the WCI coming as well, but for now, the teams are thoroughly focused on the OLS, and the community prediction, well, they do see Hit and Run ahead.
Can't fault them for that one. 86-14, yeah, kind of expected, I guess.
Very much so. Hit, they have looked, I would say, pretty stable in Phase 1. Yogurt, I think some improvements compared to, Season 3, Season 2 as well, but it always is a step below those top teams. This gap, they haven't managed to really close it so far, but maybe today is the day. Maybe they took those 2 weeks they had between Phase 1 and Phase 2 to practice up, and it's going to have to be done on the maps coming up. Cliff being removed by Hit and Run, Yogurt removing Ents gives us Pilsen as first one. We saw that as the last one between our previous 2 teams. Then going on to Siegfried line again for the middle segment. Sand River being banned by Yogurt, Hit and Run taking away Ghost Town. It gives us Westfield as the last map in regular time. Could be quick, could be slow. Hard to say. And if we do need it, Morovanka will be the tiebreaker. Now, we're going to start off this match, Gihan, not too fast with Pilsen and Siegfried. That's the question, right? With Siegfried line, there are question marks hovering above my head now. Because, well, those 2 rounds on Siegfried that we just saw in between Cashback and Weekend, they were extremely quick, at least for Siegfried line standards, and I think just about for any map in the OLS pool. But Pilsen is going to be the first one, and as we just saw, teams like to go aggressive. There is sometimes a little bit of control going on, but sooner rather than later it's going to be a shootout, and I think in these shootouts it's always the question of who has the better calls, who has the better focus fire, of course, given that the pen rates are equal, and I think here Hit actually should have the advantage.
I believe Hit should be quite heavily favored in this matchup coming up. Anything but like a 4-1, 4-2 at best would be probably not a great result for them. They want to be strong, they want to be dominant, they want to pick up those points from Yogurt and continue their march into that top 4. The sooner you secure yourself in the top 4, the more stress-free gaming you have throughout the remainder of the Phase 2, and the easier preparation, I think, as well, going into the playoffs at the end of the season. So for them, I think this is a mission: pick up the points, but pick it up convincingly.
And I think we also should keep in mind that for the teams, it's not only important to go into those top 4 spots, but also where you rank in these top 4, because being in the top 4 is all nice and good, right? And W in Season 2 demonstrated that even from the 4th spot, you can go on to win it. But there is actually being like a huge difference between 1st and 4th. As 1st, you start basically in the upper bracket finals, and you have 2 matches to win until you win the playoffs and win OLS, whereas if you're in spot 4, you start already in the lower bracket and you have to wait for the upper bracket semifinal, then, you know, play against the loser of that match, play against the loser of the upper bracket finals, and then make it towards the grand finals. So there is something to play here for both teams. I think Hit and Run, they want to pick up some, well, maybe not easy, but easier points here in the Phase 2 against the supposed underdog of Yogurt. And of course for them, it's all about picking up every single point they can to somehow still make it in the top 4.
They will need to start it off by winning this one. Score lines, 3 of us going with 4-1, only Kihan expecting a 4-2.
Let's see. I think Yogurt will be coming in firing on all cylinders, and they know that, you know, every single match here is basically endgame territory. They can afford 1, maybe 2 losses in the total of 5 matches that they have, but not more. So whereas Hit and Run maybe already hiding a little bit when it comes to strats, I think Yogurt will be absolutely playing all out, which of course offers them up a little bit for countering as well by Hit, because they probably think that they have the better players, so they can be like, hey, you know, show us what you got, and then we'll react.
Let's see what the first lineups bring, though. Yogurt, double I7 actually, E50M, double push B, an E4, and an RHM.
And for Hit and Run, it's going to be more of a Season 4-esque lineup. It is double BZ, together with an IS7 double T57, Franek playing the signature 140, and a Fosh B.
What lineup do we prefer?
Difficult to say, actually. I think both, of course, have their ups and downsides. I think Hit and Run with a little bit more burst, but Yogurt, of course, if they can get the engagement off with the double Fosh B and then the heal after maybe taking damage by the T57s, it could be good for them. That being said, though, Plane only connecting on 3 tanks, so the double T57 plus the BZ is going to be spotted for Hit and Run, and they in turn, of course, know that there is a light tank for Yogurt.
Yeah, they will know that, but at the same time, there's plenty of tanks on the field for Hit and Run that they don't really have to care about the light presence that much. Big shot against Barbarian, that's to the E4 on the back lines. Love finding a connection. YOLO moving into the strike immediately, though. Barbarian will not be able to stop that unless he commits for it, but committing would be a mistake.
And I think he kind of senses that something is wrong in front of him, and rightfully so. YOLO is going to walk away with the strike from this one, being covered by Shelby and Liquor in the I7 and E50M respectively. Shelby lets one loose, does not find damage, doesn't get spotted even for this one, and is going to, of course, relay that information. We can see Yogurt, they have taken some damage on LeVay in that E4, who was spotted at the corner, but now was able to retreat to safety. And we can also see on the minimap what Yogurt is doing. Oh, good blind shot, though, coming in from Barbarian against YOLO, who has to abandon the info tower for now. And T-Sec, throughout all of this, is going to be able to snatch an an artillery strike.
T-Sec does get played out, and Shelby gets the reset. So no artillery strike for T-Sec. It was close, but no cigar. All he gets is a face full of damage, and Liquor gets one of those as well. A good shot, I think, from the BZ75 there on towards him. But so far, teams are trading it out. Striker 1-2 line being taken for the side of Hit and Run. Cap being started as well. Gotta pay attention to that. Yogurt very far back on that part of the map.
They do have the double for speed that I think now is starting to spring into action, but good shot from Ketsai into Liquor in that IS-7. That is 2 unanswered hits. Liquor now lower in HP than Barbarian in the other IS-7. That is kind of mirroring him, where Monster is now getting sent on the rotation as well with the Foch B. I think they're sort of expecting to be some, re-aggression on the 1-2 line, and indeed on the 1-2 line, one of the Foch Bs is now spotted here. They did see the T-57 covering the angle, I guess. Aphrodite had to use his ability to mitigate some of that damage, and full rotation coming through now for Hit.
Fully going towards 1-2 line, not bad. Foch Bs are re-pushing though. Info and Aphrodite. They know Panther Fury is kinda isolated. I mean fully isolated. He's taken 2 Foch Bs to the face. Now this one hurt.
Artillery strike does a little bit of damage, but that's going to be an unanswered kill, at least for now, and Invo is going to heal some of that damage back. He still had the ability, but DJ now coming around the corner. 1-2, pop goes the T-57. Rachmedek able to back behind the corner. The Foch Bs currently on reload, unable to help here, and so Hit and Run are fighting from a tank deficit, but HP-wise, they are chilling.
Yeah, they have a lot heavier lineup though, so you gotta keep that into consideration as well. That's why they had so much HP extra. And Franek now finds Info. Can he sit fully safe in the Foch B? No, it doesn't seem to be the case, so he's starting to get clipped, starting to clip while getting shot by Franek. But so far Franek is gonna find the kill. Didn't cost him that much either. I mean, 2 shots I think from that Foch B. Aphrodite now clipping out as well, and Franek with that 140 together with the Inspire. You almost would consider him a Foch B of himself, because every 4 or 5 seconds he's putting 300 into somebody. And when we look back, yeah, they found Panzer Fury, but what was the cost of that?
The cost of that was absolutely everything, as now Franek doesn't even chase after the Foch B. Very mature, trying to help Ketsai here against Lovey and YOLO. And I think Franek is suspecting that Foch B went on reload. 6 shots from the drum would of course be enough to take out the 140 from the game, but first of all Aphrodite has to reload, which he has not done yet. Had to use his medkit as well, so that one's on reload for the time being. And Franek, he's just being presented with target after target here. YOLO now peeking in towards him, not that it matters. Hit and Run, it looked a little bit dicey when the T-57 got pushed, but overall a very, very strong start for them. It's going to be 1-0.
And this game started off slow, but in this 1-2 repush game, Hit and Run kind of matched them behind by like 10 seconds, but matched them nonetheless. So when the push happened, they weren't there, but they were close enough to immediately find success after themselves. And even with all that strike damage, because we saw a lot of strike damage come out towards those double Hit and Run tanks, isn't enough. And lineup diff, I guess, is also an aspect here.
Yeah, and the same thing can be said about player diff as well. Franek once again outperforming everyone on the field. 5,000 damage and 3 kills as well. Of course, you want that 140 to pick up the kills whenever it can, just because it has the low alpha, the quick reload. But overall, I think Hit, they were just better at making those reactions. You could see from the start where Barbarian didn't immediately commit in against the strike getting captured. Then you could see the IS-7 of Liquor taking damage against Ketsai in the BZ, while Ketsai was even staying unspotted. So all in all, it was just a very, well, maybe not clean round. You can never play completely clean on Pilsen, but it was a very controlled round coming out from Hit.
Yeah, it was mature even, when I call it that way. Respecting Joker enough not to try and push all over them. Play a slower game, manage to make it work as well, and have the 1-0 scoreline. That's where, you know, Hit has that advantage that they can play numerous styles, something that we haven't seen Weekend, for example, be capable of, you know, slowing it down a lot and playing off of the slow pace rotation game, which is exactly what Hit does in this one. So you can never really tell if they're going to go super aggressive or it's going to be a bit slower.
And the thing is, Hit just excels at, you know, both of those styles. They thrive in the chaos that can be created in a game, but they can also, you know, just sit back, relax, and just out-trade you, which is what has made them such a dangerous opponent in Phase 1. And it looks like, at least here in this first game, they weren't, you know, letting go of any of that. And for Yogurt, I think it is already a little bit concerning because they opened up with the information on the double T57 going towards the 1 and 2 line, I believe, and still they committed the force in after, where one of the forces had to pop the ability immediately, meaning he didn't have it for second cross because they kind of abandoned the play and then restarted it. So you could see there they were second guessing themselves in a way, and that is never, ever a good thing.
Well, as a result, it's 1-0 for Hit and Run, but let's not read too much into it just yet. It's, like we said, a best of 7, so 4 rounds required to win, but just a very slow Pilsen, though. Maybe Hit and Run changes it up now, play a little bit more fast, feeling out the water. I mean, if anything, they could use this as like an opportunity to try some stuff as well.
Yeah, although I think trying some stuff is mostly for, for trainings. You can, of course, try some of those tactics that you're keeping in the back pocket where you're not 100% sure where it works. And here, as well, the mind games are coming in again. You don't want to show your A strats against a team like Yogurt if you're a hit and run. You want to keep those for the matches that you consider to be the harder ones, where you're fighting for direct competitors for the first spot in the regular season. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think so far so good for the team from Poland because they haven't really shown too much in this first game, but they still managed to go out with a comfortable win. Let's see in this game number 2 what's going to happen though. Yogurt, an IS-7 type, double E50M, a K91, a Foshby, and an RHM, so not letting go of the light tank.
Hit and Run and return, a little bit different than before. Triple Foshby, a 430U, double Type 5 heavy, and an E100. It's very heavy. Very, very heavy.
How many tanks does the light tank spot? It is 4, which is exactly the number required to get the replane immediately. So a little bit of a better start for YOLO in the RHM here. What are they going to make of it is the question, while we saw the 430U of Hit and Run faking a little bit where he was going to go. I mean, that's of course one of those little mind games that you always do. Shelby Walk in the meantime is going to take the info tower, while YOLO already takes the artillery strike. Full information. Yogurt couldn't really ask for that much more, except, well, not taking damage on the E50M that took the info tower.
So all information available for the side of Yogurt. They now realize that this Hit and Run team is very, very heavy and will be hard to deal with. DJ taking some damage, so taking a lot of damage in that Type 5 actually. Minus 1.2k on that Type 5 to reach towards the strike. He will start taking it, but I don't think it's realistic to expect him to continue that one through fully. Takes another shot, dropped low, and with Aphrodite and K2, it's going to be hard for Hit and Run to capture this one.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. We saw other players there as well having wondrous games in the K91 that, of course, has absolutely off the charts a DPM to come in. The Type 5s trading it out, well, trading not really. A donation by T-Sec here, who takes a shot of damage by Liquor while not being able to shoot in return. Franek also, I think that's the small gun, while Ketsai gets rotated out to the field. And so far, I think the damage that Yogurt have done was pretty good. YOLO, though, taking one, and of course, in those light tanks, you want to hold on to your HP for as long as you can.
Now the double Foshby will start pressuring the field. The third one is in quick support coming over the 6th line right now. YOLO will need to plane and spot the gap and then reset it by himself. But now Monster and Panther Fury attacking Ramadik. Monster hits it on the move there as well. Love waiting and facing this, but that's a lot of Foshbys coming their way. They're starting to unload. Monster only had 4 available, so gotta keep that in mind. He's already out of steam, already out of pump. He has to dump out of there. Panther Fury, though, together with Ketsai and Barbarian, finds success. And now Love realizing there's another Foshby. Where there is one, there is 2 more apparently. gets owned for that one, down towards 1000 HP, gets striked out as well, and now there's a downtime, a period of nothing's really happening when the Fush Bees are reloading, but Monster still wants to attack, has the ability back, pops it as well, can't take the damage, takes a little bit more, needs to repair the fuel tank, because of course you can still get set on fire nonetheless, but he takes the damage, will start healing back up, and Love is trying to pull away. Katsai with this push, needs to connect, doesn't do it. Will he get it on the second? Needs to be careful to survive even through this one. That was a one-shot, but he will make it. Shelby now feels the wrath of the Fush Bees, as that's another E50M getting clipped out and deleted. Aphrodite will try to support, but with this quick field aggression, Kihan, before you realize they're down 4 guns on the side of Yogurt.
Hit and Run were waiting, they were considering what was happening, but at the end they struck like, well, a viper, an anaconda. It was clean, it was clinical even, on towards the IS-7, then the E50M transition down through the 8 line, just mopping up the team of Yogurt methodically, mechanically. Monster now off of his second or third reload. I've lost count at this point in time. Trax YOLO is going to get him. It's going to be Hit and Run 2 and Yogurt 0 after Pilsen.
That was a good repush on the field. Triple Fush be pretty hard to deal with if you're starting to fall like dominoes, you know. You need to focus one out, but if you can't do that, they just keep healing the whole time.
Yeah, and the thing as well, the Monster, when the push started, he wasn't even, you know, completely full. The drum wasn't fully loaded, but he went in first. He activated the ability. People started focusing on him because, of course, they thought he was going to be, you know, fully loaded for the push. But instead, he was like, went on the reload, took the first damage, and it didn't even end up mattering. But yeah, he went out with top damage for the game, and you could really see this sledgehammer approach coming in from the Fosh Bees. In between them, 13, almost 14,000 damage. It worked out beautifully.
It was great for them. Those Fush Bees coming on top, but all 3 of them, they all found great success, and you can see the Fush Bee can still tank some shots even when it's reloading because of that ability. And it was all around just really solid from them.
And I think Yogurt starting to realize that, well, today might not be their way to ascension to the playoffs here, because a 2-0 scoreline, it couldn't be more clear, and especially this round number 2, it looked like, you know, Hit and Run had everything figured out, ring around the rosy. But Hit, that was their map pick, Pilsen, and Yogurt, they have picked Siegfried line, and maybe for a reason, because as we just saw in the previous match, Siegfried line, you don't need to play it slow to have success.
No, we've seen that, and Hit and Run with 2 rounds lead could play a bit more aggressive if they want to. They can, you know, with the up 2-0, they could try to surprise on Siegfried line, or they can continue playing as they are, solid and not that fast, but this was a really good repush though.
I mean, that's kind of the case as well when you're playing like the second or the third match of the day. And of course, both of the teams will have watched the first one. Maybe if Hit had something super aggressive planned on Siegfried line, or Yogurt for that matter, there must be a reason why they have picked it. And now, you know, the first 2 rounds on the map were aggressive by the teams playing it. Now you're kind of like, yeah, we had something planned, but maybe the other team saw it as well. Should we change?
I mean, it could be just a cashback weekend kind of thing. You know, we could be seeing a 10-minute battle here without problem.
Everything is possible on Siegfried line. Just sometimes not taking those information towers that you just see here on the screen. Of course, there's a direct line of fire between both of them, and of course supporting positions behind as well, which sometimes makes the battle for those info towers quite costly when it comes to the HP department. Some of the teams, even for like minutes on end, choosing to not even try to attempt to take such an information tower, because it can just, you know, end up with half or the entirety of your tank even being gone, depending on how many snipers the other team has positioned behind it.
What do you expect? Like, we're gonna get a quick match, you think?
Normally, I would expect for Hit to play it kind of controlled once again. I don't think they are under any pressure to do something special, something aggressive. They can just keep rolling with what has been working well for them, which is just sniffing out what Yogurt is doing and then react accordingly. And Yogurt, on the other hand, they are under pressure. They need to do something. A Type 5 as the singular heavy coming in for them. LeVay with the 140. Quadruple E4, and again YOLO in the light tank. They really want that initial information.
Apparently so. Hit and run, no light, double type, 140, an IS4 and triple BZ. Could play slow with that if they want to. Could also play fast. The BZ is kind of telling us that they don't want to play that slow though.
And immediately the BZ is activating the boosters, but it's not going to save them, except for Cat's Eye, from the plane that does go down. 5 tanks, that means replane available. The information tower right now for a hit is not one they can take, as Yogurt is spreading out, sending the RHM immediately to A1. So he's going to be passively sitting there, maybe wants to reset the strike as well, but he cannot reset Barbarian the way that he is driving. He's actually going from the upper route.
So hit and run does find the strike on the 3 line. Monster trying to get a shot there against Invo, not connecting. Aphrodite taking a little bit of damage as well, but so far, ooh, another shot there on Aphrodite. A strike coming out as well. That one's gonna hurt. They don't have ability yet, so it's full damage taken on both of them. That's minus 900. Key, when we look at the HP difference.
Yeah, it's 26k to less than 20. That is already a problem. And I think that is probably an understatement even for the team of Yogurt, because over time those problems are going to grow as well. Yogurt do not have access to a strike currently. The eastern one is being blocked by Cat's Eye in the BZ that is controlling the approach. They have taken damage, so over time they are losing as well, and this means they need to do something. The only tank that can really act freely right now is the RHM, but he cannot commit too far in the one line either, because the IS-4 would be spotting him. So Yogurt, I mean, it already looks bad, but considering their options, it looks even worse.
Yeah, what choice do they have, though? Ooh, big blind there as well from the BZ. Just gets worse. I think Getza hits the blind against LeVay. Now it's 7,000 HP difference. Hit maturely realizes that they're winning the game like this, or like,
I mean, even if that shot didn't hit, the fact remains that Hit have control of an artillery strike and Yogurt do not. And this means that Yogurt need to do something and Hit can just chill and receive. Barbarian taking the strike up now. And I mean, he can keep holding that one, and you know, maybe when the strike has recharged, then one of the players of Yogurt is going to make a play. He went off the artillery strike, starts capturing it again, and you can see how mature they're playing. DJ not really peeking further than he needs to. He's just holding the angle that he's supposed to, and all of those Hit players right now are just chilling. It's smooth sailing for them right now, and I kind of lack the imagination to, you know, to see how Yogurt are going to get out of this predicament.
I don't see it. I really don't see a way back in. Unless I'm missing something.
I mean, Shelby just took the info tower, so at least Yogurt are now able to understand where Hit and Run are. But of course Hit and Run know this, and they're going to adjust accordingly. The info tower still gets held, finally used, as Yogurt figure out the positions of the Hit and Run tanks, but it doesn't really help. The 140, I think, even in K1 went back behind the bunker, so the RHM wasn't able to get a shot in towards him as well. And I think for Yogurt, it's kind of do or die in the game now. They have to group up for a push while they still can, hope that they get to snowball out of this almost unwinnable situation here, maybe hoping for a blow-up, as unlikely as it is in Onslaught as well, but I think nothing save of a blow-up or even two is going to help them here.
I mean, they're starting to progress towards the 0 line from the side of Yogurt with LeVay and YOLO, but even if they take that strike, let's say they hit 2 targets with it, it's 900.
Yeah. It's like nothing. I mean, not nothing, of course, but, you know, it's not helping. LaVey and YOLO on the 0 line waiting. They do see Ketsai, and Ketsai in return sees them. The damage only on towards Ketsai, so finally Yogurt are able to deal somewhat damage on towards the tanks of Yogurt, but immediately the retaliation is there. Pansfury Monster were waiting. Pansfury taking some damage as well, but Yogurt, they must realize that they are pushing into Crossfire, and the flanking maneuver on the 0 line, it doesn't have a lot of HP really. It is an RHM and a 140. Yogurt, they manage to secure an artillery strike after 5 minutes in the game. They finally have someone on it, but Barbarian already with the Crossfire from the IS-4. Franek able to peek with the 140. That's the Inspire secured for the team of Hit and Run. Yogurt, they are driving into death currently.
And they did make up about 1,000 HP deficit though, so at least something going their way. Love seems to have a strike as well, could connect that on towards quite a few targets. So, I mean, they're trying their best, but when we talk about HP deficit, it gets a little bit worse again, starts to go towards the Hit and Run side. Ketsai peeking out, even with HE 860 to YOLO, so he wins that trade against 2 tanks by shooting that HE shell. Love then peeks around the corner, trades with Franek. Trades is not what Yogurt needs.
No, Yogurt needs clean damage, but Hit is not giving it to them. Still 6,000, 6,500 difference in between both of those teams. And looking at the bars, we can clearly see that currently Hit have definitely dealt more. Also, Hit holding on to a lot of those heals on the heavy tanks should it come to pass here. Franek sitting on the level 3 Inspire ability as well, just in case that Yogurt tries something unexpected here. Now Hit are starting to pop the heal abilities one after the other. You want to do that in Random Onslaught as well, just to maximize the healing output that you have. And this lineup by Hit that was already very healthy has become even more unpushable.
Yeah, just getting a little bit more HP. Yeah, sure, YOLO gets an information tower, but even that, it's Yogurt has to somehow try to execute one target, which they will not be able to.
Yeah, I think they are waiting currently for the timer to tick down a little bit more. Barbarian, in the meantime, has taken one more artillery strike, and now sneakily in the IS-4 starting to make his way towards the likely scene of the crime that is going to possibly happen here. DJ starting to peek, misses his shot though, but enables Pansfury and Monster to boost over. I think we're starting to see an execute coming out of Hit and Run. A lot of damage in towards Pansfury though, and Monster with a shot in towards the Type 5, an attempted one at least, but now the damage is starting to tick. Still 5k HP up. Shelby, the last high HP tank from Yogurt, starts to peek in, but Aphrodite has already fallen.
Yeah, for Yogurt it's just the end, to be honest. It is an end that was written already. They just had to commit to the story that was already told, which is that they will be losing this battle. The initial deficit built is too much to overcome for them with the lineup that they have, which is lighter than the Hit and Run one, which are just waiting and receiving. And once Yogurt came close, the door was very much shut in their faces, and they will be looking at a triple match point for Hit and Run.
I think for Hit, once again, this game, the story of being cool, calm, and collected, not giving an opening to Yogurt, realizing after the first minute of the game or so, like, hey, we're sitting on the strike. They are not. What are you going to do? There is nothing to remedy the situation for Yogurt at this point in time. And from there on out, I think Yogurt, they, you know, started off well with trying to close the HP difference, but as soon as, you know, Hit realized, like, hey, those tanks are irreversibly now committed here, we can just stay here as well, and we can even leave the IS-4 on the outside. That continuously gives us strike advantage, together with picking up the information on the RHM should he want to flank as well. That was, not much more to say. Just a good round from Hit and Run. 7-0 in the kill department as well. Barbarian doing 2.7k with the strikes as well.
I mean,
this is looking like not the beginning to phase 2 that Yogurt wanted.
It's It's a pretty tough game if you're Yogurt. You know, you take that initial damage and then you are kind of like, oh. So what do they have? BZs and Type 5s. And an Ice 4 and a 140. It's pretty hard to play. It was tough for them. They really need to show us something now in the potential last round of this match.
Yeah, this is looking like the quickest possible route to a shutout for Hit because, well, sometimes, you know, you're at a scoreline of 3-0 and you're like, well, it doesn't tell the complete story of the match so far. Both of the teams are pretty even. This is not one of those. 3-0 is exactly what both teams deserve after the first 3 games being played here. Yogurt not once managed to get a foot in the door. I think the closest round even was round number 1 on Pilsen, but even there, they didn't find an entry.
There was no entry. I really don't think there was anything that they could have done different there that would have brought them victory.
So do you think it's a lineup issue for Yogurt? Is it a tactic issue?
I think it's an initial bleed issue. You know, when you bleed like 2,000-3,000 HP in the beginning without doing anything back and you're playing a lighter lineup, then yeah, it's going to be really tough to come back later on in the game. And we saw those E4s take a lot of damage in the beginning.
I mean, the strike obviously didn't help, but the fact that they got out-traded by BZs and Type 5s in a corner fight normally isn't supposed to happen. Like, yeah, the first salvo, of course, the E4s don't really have the ability active, but at least you should be able to trade back. But the E4s did no damage. And that, of course, means for the second trade that you're going to do, well, trade, it's not really a trade if you're not doing damage back, but for the second volley at least, normally you want to have your Juggernaut ability active, but they hadn't done damage, they hadn't acquired experience points with it, and so they once again took the full damage from the guns of Hit. It is the 4th game, though, the 2nd game of Siegfried Line, and maybe Yogurt are able to surprise us a little bit. Maybe the team of Yogurt is not going to be that tasty snack. Maybe they will be able to turn a little sour, but so far they haven't really given us anything to believe.
No, so far indeed it hasn't been anything worth writing home about. But what they're bringing now looks interesting though. IS4, Mivi, Type 5, Object 140, 268 V5. I mean, still interesting. There was a Jagdpanzer, it's a V5 now, an E4, and NRHM.
Invoice trolling.
Yeah, he's trolling.
Okay, and for Hit, we see quadruple BZ75, double T57, and a 140.
He's really trolling. I hope they lose 4-0 now.
Oof.
It's for the rage bait, you know.
I mean, you want Yogurt to get a point, right? So you get your prediction correctly. I still want them to pick up 2.
Doesn't matter, you know. I had the same predictions as Phil today because we think the same, so nobody's gaining on each other, you know.
Is that a positive thing is the question. First of all, though, Hit starting to open up in towards the left of, the west of the city here. Triple BZ immediately booking it towards the cap, so not willing to play a slow game are Hit, as Barbarian with the BZ already on the cap as well, but Hit and Run, they just do not want to stop. The second part of the name of their team currently in full effect as Ketzai is booking it in towards Liquor here, but they are driving into crossfire. The RHM from the back lines is trying to do what he can as Aphrodite is trying to run as well. They are running down that MBY and they're going to get him first kill for Hit and Run.
Yeah, the RHM Panzerwagen now getting pushed by BZs as well. It's T-Sec and Monster pushing across while the rest of the team tries to stay alive. Barbarian, Vranak, DJ, Panther Fury, very defensive though. Monster will get across with T-Sec. T-Sec's gotta keep going so Monster can stay alive as well. They get across the bunker. That means YOLO dead. And with YOLO dying and the Mivi already in the grave, it does look rather dire for Yogurt. Down 2 guns and now you can see them in kind of a crossfire with Shelby, Ramedik as well, trying to push onto something. But what is there to push upon? There's nothing left. There's too far back and the T57 heavies are off of reload already, back on reload now, and the dreams of Yogurt in this one quickly crushed as their stage 2 entrance is one of a 4-0 loss against Hit and Run.
There were no dreams for Yogurt left anymore. It's only nightmares remaining, and those are the gun barrels of Hit that finally drop their first tank in the game. It is Cat's Eye, but it does not matter. Hit and Run with an absolutely stellar performance today. Mop the floor, and I think there is no other way to say it with Yogurt. T-Sec even mounting Invo. I mean, truth be told, this match probably doesn't really belong on Twitch, rather on some other platforms, and that just goes to show it even more. Hit 10,000 plus HP in this last round. I think breaking the tanks and also breaking the spirits of Yogurt here completely.
Yeah, all around pretty good round for Hit and Run. Good match for Hit and Run as well. We said it's kind of for them to pick up the points and do so convincingly. 4-0 was very convincing.
Especially the fashion in which they did it. There wasn't a single round in which Hit and Run seemed shaky or something. They played Yogurt like a fiddle, to be honest. This last one, good calls as well. I think Hit were, holding back for most of the match here. I think it's kind of a cheesy strat as well, because you don't bring any kind of super heavies, but then you're relying on your calls to just quickly pick up the tanks on the enemy team that matter most. You can see the MBY, normally supposed to be a DPM tank, goes out with 1,100. The RHM immediately removed as well. That crossfire, it could cost you in the long run. They immediately remove it. And after that, I mean, there was an attempted counter push by Yogurt in the city, but, well, they were pushing into a BZ and fully loaded T-57s that can then fade away because they have the peak advantage, can immediately reload, and that push then falters. So, yeah, perfect execution by Hit on the upside, right? It was beautiful to see them play. For Yogurt, I guess it was a lesson. I'm trying to find something positive for them here, apart from it was over quickly.
I mean, sometimes it was over quickly is more than enough, Gian, no?
I think Yogurt have had more than enough, certainly, for today. But yeah, I think Hit prime contenders here for the spot number 1 in the regular season. They were first in phase 1. Now 4-0. You cannot start off better. I can't wait to see what they are going to present us with during the next playdays, where, of course, I think it's fair to say that they will have more difficult opponents, but that is for then. For now, we are going to go towards some replays, and when we are back, we are going to see the team that I think has been underperforming the most in the Season 4 so far. It's the reigning champions of W. See you then.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
The AMD Onslaught Legends series Season 4 has arrived. And with it comes the chance to reward the players and yourself too. Boost the prize pool by purchasing team bundles. If the team you rooted for with a bundle wins, so do you by being able to upgrade the included style to a shiny golden version. Contribute now. Well, what are we saying after that one, Ducky? Brutal, savage, wrecked, absolutely taken down.
Took him like 3 minutes to remember how the line goes. That's what old age does to you.
Well, hopefully this match holds a little bit more suspense, is all I can think of after this domination, I think is the best way to describe it here, between Hit and Run and Yogurt. Now, however, W against Mafia. Those are, or would have been at least before the season, two prime contenders for, you know, the top spots in the OLS. Mafia first seed for WCI for China in November. W second seed coming in as well. So during OLC number 4, those two teams were the best two that EU had to offer. And while Mafia is still living up to expectations in Season 4 of the OLS, W certainly isn't.
But their secret weapon is back.
Yeah, back from vacation. Speaking about that one, right? Jekifa, he had a nice time off, but he has rejoined his team, and maybe his presence alone will be enough to give that passive buff that W certainly need. Phase 1, it was not an easy time for the roster that you just saw. Phase 2, maybe their time to redeem themselves, but Mafia are not going to make it easy.
No, they won't. And Mafia is always that kind of team that they don't do like those highlight reels, but they're very, very solid. And if W is not performing, Mafia will take everything away from them.
Absolutely. They're going to rob the house, the car, and everything in the street as well if they get to it. And for W, it's up to prevent this because, for example, to be honest, like for W, only one thing counts, and that is points. Mafia, they can chill a little bit more. Of course, for them, points are important as well, especially when it comes for the seeds in the playoffs. But yeah, Orzhek, 4.4k DPG. That is an absolutely crazy number.
No, he's been doing actually very, very well. Orzhek, we saw Franek was like 3.8. Orzhek's got 4.4. So quite a bit above that nonetheless. So he's been gaming out of his mind so far this season. And like I said, if W doesn't come into Phase 2 better than Phase 1, this is going to be a walkover for Mafia.
Yeah, and I think for W it's important that they kind of use this, or it was important for them to reset mentally during this break that they had, because some of the stuff that made them such an outstanding team in the past seasons, the magic, the cooking, it just wasn't there during Phase 1. So maybe they have prepared something for us today as we see the map pick and ban. Sandriver and Westfield being taken out respectively. W want to start on Ensk, so they want to start up close and personal. Mafia, they are going for Pilsen, a map that we've seen quite a lot today already. But I think Pilsen is one of those maps where the possibilities are almost endless as towards how you're going to play. It might all be over if the past match is anything to go by after those two maps, but Mafia had the second pick on their end going towards Himmelsdorf, so another city map as well coming in. And if this match goes the complete distance, we're going to finish off on Cliff.
Pilsen, name of the game today, huh, Kiehand?
Seems like
everybody wanted
yeah.
a little bit of Pilsen. Siegfried Line would be our second most favorite map, but Pilsen is the go-to. It's always interesting how every phase is like this one map that everybody just wants to play, you know?
So far, so good for Pilsen, but if I remember correctly, with the pick and bans, we're also going to see a lot of Siegfried line on Thursday, and that is going to be interesting as well, because Siegfried line today certainly saw a switch up in meta compared to Season 1. That being said, predictions, I think all of us are still a little bit under the impression of Phase 1 here. We are all saying it's going to be a Mafia victory. Moff this time around, the outlier with the 4-3.
Yeah. But we're all aboard the Mafia train, though.
And it is fair, in my opinion, to do that, because in Phase 1, W haven't really shown us anything to go off of. But maybe today is the day. And they are going to start off with triple BZ75, a Mouse, a 140, and double Bliskowitzer for W. The importance of this match cannot be understated.
No, it cannot. And both lineups are very aggressive, though, with these BZs, 4 versus 3, E50M. But it's the Bliskowitzers for W that have to make the difference, though.
And there isn't something like a Batchat, a T57, a Tisak that could really, you know, keep the Bliskowitzers permatrack. Maybe the 140, but that is only one tank, and it is double Bliska. And to be honest, I like the lineup of W a little bit more, because the Mouse doesn't really struggle so much against those BZ75s because of their lowish pen. There are no E4s on the Mafia lineup, on any lineup, actually. So let's see. And the Bliskowitzers, of course, quite lowish pen for a tier 10 TD, as well as Mafia immediately opening up on towards the green, initial damage on towards Mentos, but they just keep going on, and Rexa still holding the angle, does only get the track of Mentos here, tries to retaliate, doesn't manage to, and the train just keeps on rolling for Mafia. They want to engage on towards Itox, but Squeezy and Ayoz have not shown themselves so far, I don't think. And now Mafia starting to turn around, don't want to drive in towards Crossfire.
And they need to go cover Yusek, though, because he's the one that's currently looking like the linchpin. Yeah, Mafia now starting to drive through the open back towards the middle. Mentos does seem to be tracked, though. He already used his repair kit earlier. That's something to keep into consideration. So he takes another shot there now. Mafia driving in between anything and everything, pushing forward. But what are they going for? They're going for Klurf, they're going for Mentos, they're going for the Bliskowice in the same time. This is a hard push to pull off if you're Mafia. Heels getting popped left, right, and center. Orchek gets tracked for that as well. Will not find the shot against Klurf either. The highlight player for Mafia, no highlights for him in this one as he simply dies.
Klurf is down towards a one-shot, finally gets picked up as well, but Conrad on a one-shot too. Jakofa, though, in the meantime, has been isolated by Kono and Profuse too. He gets one more shot of damage, that's very important, and the HP difference at this point in time is brutally in favor of W. Rexa in between the rock and the hard place as Yusek falls as well. Gun advantage for the team invite, for the reigning champions that really want to get a good start into it, but Itox, he has all the HP for W currently.
Ios should not miss this one against Rexar. He doesn't either. YOLO finds a shot against Mentos though, so drops him a little bit lower, but it's double HP for W. An extra gun as well. Sure, a lot of that is located on this full HP Mouse and the full HP BZ of Ios, but it's always going to be at the fight at this point, and Profuse and Kono can do whatever they want. It's going to be W picking up round number 1.
Yeah, to be honest, Kono and Profuse, they could be doing somersaults at this point in time. It's not going to change anything, Squeezy, even with the Ram. So we're going to see that 140 1-on-1, but Squeezy, even with the HP advantage a little bit, but Profuse has the reload advantage. Not that it is going to matter here at this point in time, because W are going to go in towards Phase 2, and they're going to be picking up their first round.
Yeah, they do a good job there. For W. Mafia, I think they wanted to do something and then they realized we want to push A0, but there's 2 tanks there, we cannot do that. Where do we go? If they could have kept Mentos permatracked, something could have been happening there, but they weren't able to do that. That's what they really needed to make that worth it, I think. They needed to somehow permatrack Mentos, but once he boosts away fully, it's yeah, you're pushing, and you're pushing in between the guns, and you're not having anything to push on, and Ochek does 0 as a result of this.
Didn't even fire the gun. That's how bad it was for him. And there was actually a point in time at which I was extremely afraid for W, which was where Jekifa looked like he was going on an adventure towards the spawn of the team of Mafia, because at that point in time, the double medium from Mafia was rotating downwards, and I think if Mafia don't really commit in anywhere else at this point in time, they just receive the Bliskavitza, then they're mighty fine, because all of a sudden, like, the double tank from W is out of the game on the green, and they have 2 versus 1 against Bliskavitza that cannot use the ability against double medium tank, otherwise he gets permatracked. So, yeah, there was potential for Mafia, but W receiving the, I think, over-eager push from Mafia. Well, Mafia made it easy, to be honest. But, yeah, good reactions coming out from W and signs of life after this first phase where nothing, really nothing they touched seemed to go right.
No, that is... that's a good way to describe it. Nothing they touch seemed to be going right, but they have a 100% win ratio since Rakefa returned.
Coincidence? We are going to find out, because round number 2 on Ensk might be upon us sooner rather than later. But I think especially for a young team like W, those kinds of matches are also make or break moments, because you have so many young players that are admittedly used to success at this point in time, and then when you don't win one match, all right, it's one match. When you don't win 2 matches in a row, it's like, okay, this is kind of annoying. When you go into the third loss in a row, that is when the spirits are starting to fail. So I think W, if they want to have a say in the playoffs, they need a strong start into phase 2.
Yeah, we talked about it. If they want to make it into the top 4, they have to make up 5 points to begin with. Starting it off against Mafia with a win would be the right step in that direction. Because if they don't, it's just going to get harder and harder. Like, sure, Cashback beat Weekend today, so Weekend stays on 14. But for all you know, Weekend wins the next matchup. If the top teams are winning against each other, except for like Hit and Run, who beats everybody, it will be tough for W to somehow get back in it. Because you can't expect them to win every match.
Yeah, they have to hope for someone to show signs of weakness, just like they did in phase 1. And first and foremost, they need to win their own matches, because otherwise they are not going to catch up. W coming into round number 2, once again with the mouse, the 140. This time around 430U and quadruple E4, so a switch up by the Pan-European team.
Mafia, triple E4, 140, type double BZ. They seem in a lineup that can deal with these E4s as well, but you know, for W, the 430U versus the E50M key hand.
I think on Ensk it's fair to go with the 430U because you can side scrape a little bit more. You have the additional alpha, which can be nice, and of course you're always going to outtrade tanks like E4s that reload for a lot longer. Though Squeezy with that spotting run takes 2 E4 shots to the face, halving his HP.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least he got the Inspire, right?
I think that is a tiny consolation prize compared to the HP that he just paid for that. But yeah, if you're looking for a silver lining, you found that one. Orzhek is going to not mind that damage that he just took too much because he was actually able to reduce it as Itox takes an E4 shot to the face. So far, so good for the TDs of Mafia. Kono even sitting on the level 3 ability.
And double it down, about 2,000-3,000 HP. Clorf now crossing over. He's spotted though, so they know that he's coming. He takes 784 to the face immediately. Big shot there from the player of Rexar from the Mafia side. Yolo takes a strike. Squeezy will join on zero line, but he needs to be careful. If he takes a strike, that will put him into very low HP.
And you know what you just saw in the middle of the map? That was Itox using the heal ability, the group heal on himself. That is always a sign of things not going quite the way that you want them to. Oh, Rexar though, taking a big one here unexpectedly as well, sitting on level 3 ability, but no damage mitigation for him. And I think Ios is trying to make his 430 turret work overtime, trying to spot out the enemy tanks. Itox, not sure if he got reset or if he went out of the cap, but that one not an issue for the time being, as Jakofa in the city is going to pick up an artillery strike for W.
So they get the strike in the city, which is already nice, but they're still in a lot of trouble. They're destroying the buildings in front of Conrad. Okay, but it doesn't really gain them that much either. Frugo is looking, Conrad shoots, doesn't miss, Frugo comes a little bit closer. So where does W find anything? I mean, the C4 crossing K-line, if he goes all the way K-line, I guess he won't be spotted?
Let's wait and see, because of course the Type 5 there, Yuzek, is tall enough to spot him. The wall, as some call him. Conrad getting spotted out by the 430U. Is of course going to get the notification for that as well. Respotted now, so he knows that he cannot continue here. There would be a lot of guns trained on him. The artillery strike by Mafia now getting used on towards the mouse. Itox immediately starting to heal himself again, but YOLO, he can do that forever. He's picking up the next strike.
Yeah, YOLO was more like a... Alright, I'll reset, and at the same time I'll get another strike, so why not put it on the mouse? It's not the ideal, but... You know, you gotta try it. Conrad pushing up on zero line though. They don't know about Squeezy being there. They didn't spot him, so Squeezy will now be hiding behind Ios. And Conrad will not be connecting either. Frugo is on the K line. The strike will come out, but Conrad taking a lot of damage for this. And maybe Mafia trying to do something which isn't really a possibility. Frugo will now reinforce zero line. They want to kill Squeezy. They're not going to get it though. Not for free, that's for sure.
Well, Conrad is down towards 800 HP, but healing himself up. Squeezy, he needs to stay alive with that Inspire ability, as Conrad takes a strike, is now down towards one shot for even Ios, as YOLO tries to make the cross, but Ios gets completely blown up by all of those BZs. Finally, Conrad is falling, and that is actually a problem for Mafia here. They still have a lot of HP, but they're bleeding so much. Ojek down towards one shot, falls, and YOLO only 500 HP on him. Frugo starting to peak, still on the long reload. Klur falling towards Yuzek here, and I think Mafia are just trying to snowball it down, but they have less guns. They are still down a gun here, 4 versus 3.
Finally, they get that 140 out of the game. The Inspire now make it 3-3 for a second. It looks really dire there again for Mafia. Jakefa now getting pushed from behind by Kono, so this one will fall. I think Kono, even with an HE shell into the back of him or together with Yuzek, doesn't really matter. Either of the two will work. Puts down Jakefa, and Mafia will stabilize the game and bring it back into a 3-on-2. If Conrad died slightly quicker there, who knows?
Yeah, I think Mafia were just able to snowball it down at the end of the day with the HP advantage. At some point it was like 5,000 to 6,000 that they had, and they converted it. Of course, W weren't really focusing the Type 5, for example, and so it was closer than it looked, at least according to the HP, but Mafia able, as you said, to stabilize the game, stabilize the match as well, because in round number 1 they looked a little bit like headless even, but here they managed to reset their mentality, they managed to even it out, and it is going to be 1-1 in a match where imagine the 140 doesn't take the 1500 damage at the start.
Yeah, could have been different, but who knows if that match would have played out the same if he didn't, you know. Hard to say that it would play a 1-for-1. 1-for-1 is the scoreline though between the two. Neither of them coming out of ends with an advantage. Seems fair.
Yeah, here we see the damage numbers as well. Unsurprisingly for Mafia, the tanks that were in the fight for the longest time managing to do the most damage. Once again, not the best of games for Ojek here, but to be honest, his team just together were able to step up. Ios also not really having an impact. Same for Squeezy. I think those medium tanks on Ensk, if they get caught out like this, they're just sometimes too nimble. And like Itox, yeah, he does a lot of damage. He even has 2 kills, but you know, in that mouse, you're always in the fight, always dealing damage, but it can still be useless if your team just crumbles around you.
Yeah, for sure. If it crumbles around you, then you know it doesn't really matter. But 1-1 coming out of Ensk is fair, though. You know, neither team really showing us too much. Going on to Pilsen, right?
yeah, I think Pilsen is going to be our second map of the day. The fact that this map was split 1-1 is also going to mean that we're going to see at least one round of Himmelsdorf, which we haven't seen too much of, to be honest. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping that we are going to see more than one round of Himmelsdorf. But first of all, Pilsen it is. And Pilsen we have seen today already, but it is an extremely versatile map where teams can try and do a lot of things. I think it is also one of those maps where I would personally love to see a Tessak just thrown into the mix, because the Tessak can deny the info tower on Pilsen. But it has kind of fallen out of fashion, together with the when the Juggernaut ability was changed so that people don't have charges at the start of the game anymore. The Tessak kind of not picked so much anymore.
Yeah, no, it's just we see less TDs as well, so that the Tessak has less ways in. We see more BZs, you know, and BZ is not that great for the Tessak, so keeping that into consideration. Studs would have been the place. You saw most Tessaks, but you know, we don't have Studs anymore.
Yeah, and also one of those maps where it was picked was actually Ensk, but the main raison d'etre for the Tessak, of course, were the Juggernaut TDs, and as they are not so popular anymore, unfortunately, we're not seeing it so much anymore. Although, the light show, when it does fire, and when the Tracers are active, is something to behold.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Phase 1, though, Mafia was very dominant there. I'm trying to...
Good reason for them to pick it, which is exactly what they did. Phase 1 score as well, 3-1 for Mafia. So it wasn't clean by any means in the Phase 1 in between both of those teams either. But if anything, we need to see a considerable step up by W. They have shown a good first round on Ensk. They have shown a mediocre to meh second round. So for them, it's... yeah. It is still dire.
Let's see what the lineups give, though. Will tell us kind of what of a style we're getting. Last time I saw W play Cashback, I feel like it was W play Pilsen. It was against Cashback, and I remember them getting pushed down the middle of the map. That was a tough match for W. I think we saw a lot of tanks from Cashback drive down straight down the center of the map there. It's a bit different though, W. Very controlled key hands. E50, CS, K91, 140, 268 V4, E4 and IHM, so a little bit of everything. Well, I don't hear Keyhan right now, so I'm just going to assume that it's just you and me until I get confirmation of something different. Keyhan is back. I thought I was not talking because I wasn't sure you weren't talking. So it was just like silence, you know? I was alone with my thoughts here. This was very scary.
I was talking into a muted microphone. It sometimes happens. But yeah, the wisdom that I shared was nothing that needs to be repeated. So you weren't missing out on too much, let me tell you that much. Who are missing out on a little bit currently are, well, to be honest, Mafia, because they only spotted 2 tanks at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so that plane didn't really get that much, huh? And W has this really weird lineup of a little bit of everything, right? So if you could see that in the beginning, it would be pretty nice. The K91 will prevent a lot of cap angles, but there's only 1 strike available though, and that's on IOS. He can give 1 strike, right? But he's not going to reset 2 people. Will he get enough of this strike to get another strike is a good question. Another...
oh, close. Cap.
140 joined onto the cap. Refuse took some damage. That was the strike. 15 seconds, and IOS does have a mini strike. Profuse taking some more damage. That is gotta hurt if you're Profuse. I mean, Frugo's getting pushed from behind though, so he's taking some damage. Rex are still capping in the safe spot. There's the mini strike coming out. So now we're back down to, I mean, a very long cap, let's put it that way. They can boost this one again if they want to. Frugo in a lot of trouble though. In that 2684 is taking damage, taking more damage as well. Needs to be careful. That was actually pretty good for Mafia if you think about it.
Yeah, Frugo, he was one of those angles that was spotting and holding and resetting the cap, but of course with 800 HP is kind of forced off the cap. Good blind reset in towards Conrad, transitioning in towards another shot here. Make that 3 minus 1200 on the BZ. That is obviously time bought as well, as Nepal still sitting there in the K91 gets a blind shot. Conrad from not lucky to actually bad luck. For him, as he has to boost out of the cap. That should give Nepal a strike as well, as he does level 1 strike. He should be knowing where Rexa is sitting too, and Rexa cannot really move away from there, so even the level 1 ability strike, that is very small indeed, should be enough to reset. You don't need it though when Mentos is picking up the big strike. Another strike, make that 2 coming in towards Frugo though, and now the damage that he took earlier actually turning out to be pretty crucial.
And look at Conrad sneaking back onto the cap. That's one of the issues with Frugo dying. You don't have that angle anymore from behind that pit, right? That is able to, for example, get a reset onto this Conrad. He's just chilling there now. And yeah, they have mini strikes and a big strike he had. But Conrad will get reset by probably a small strike. So there's the small strike. There's a second small strike on towards Vexstar. There are the small strikes. They go one more big strike. They are in trouble.
They are indeed in big trouble, and W, they have managed to secure the field, so at least the map control is going a little bit in their favor, but the fact of the matter remains that W have still this very, very weird lineup that's also not super tanky. A lot of mediums, of course, a lot of abilities, as Ios is now booking it towards Kono here, getting spotted by YOLO in the RHM, takes a lot of damage. That's not the first time that we see a Hurricane on this position taking so much for the cross.
Kono getting pushed out by Mentos, using his momentum to push him further. So Kono will fall for this, but the damage will be a trade-off. It will not be clean. It will not be well executed either, because Ios took all the damage, which is something you don't really want. He will find the kill as well, and the cap of course gets abandoned, but the result is 6v6 with Mafia up in HP and can restart this cap kind of whenever they want to. They've cleaned out 1 to 3 line fully. The K91 getting pressured back even from Nepal.
Yeah, he had to move because all of the resources of W were committed to the other side of the map. However, YOLO has used the plane on towards the medium tanks. This means that he is going to be left without one for the time being. Needs to do a little bit more damage if he wants to do that. Conrad driving into the healing circle of Rexa, just a little bit on top, and good blind shot from Rexa across the field from downtown. Just dunks it in towards that K91.
So Profuse will take another strike as well, which is good for the Inspire, of course. It's the same story as before though for the side of W. They have 2 mini strikes and a big strike. Actually they seem to have 2 strikes still. It's a slightly bit different. I didn't see the second strike on Clorf, but it's still, the result doesn't really change. Like, you have to commit to mini strikes into resetting. You have to commit to big strikes after. That's the big strike coming out. That's green to hit, so -1 of those strikes. They have 1 more of those. They still need to reset Conrad and Vexar again, and they're far away. So it's like, oh, are they in control here? At some point Conrad might boost out of this one. No, he opts not to. So -150. That's the mini strike use. Nepal doesn't have another. Now we're starting to see a little bit of trouble. Orchek flicks Itox, who's trying to close the distance, because while we're watching them manage the cap, it's going to spiral out of control before you know it. Nepal does get another mini strike, and so does Ios, but still, this constant pressure Kihan, and with the change of the amount of prestige you get from decapping, it is something that's going to become pretty tough to manage over time.
Well, another reset by a small strike comes in. This means the emergency option of the big strike is still available for Clorf. But now we'll have to wait, because Mafia throughout all of this...
Level 3 heal, by the way, so...
Yeah, that is a level 3 heal. That's a lot of HP that's coming back, and it seems to me like W is trying to play La Rata but not really succeeding too much. Oh, that's also annoying that the strike is only going to reset Conrad, while YOLO has made it into the cap, boosting that one down to 20 seconds. Squeezy will be able to take the strike, but Mentos, oh, that's a lot of damage by Orzhek, the plane coming in. And here we can see Mafia, they can just play off of the cap. I mean, they are threatening, of course, to finish the game with it, but right now they're just using it as a tool to make W bleed.
Well, Mentos should be dead if the strike was still there. No, there goes the strike. Profuse puts it. We didn't see the circle, but, you know, the threat was... Ooh, 2 strikes on the same target. That's the difficulty of managing the cap, Gihan. You know, at some point you might make a mistake, and what does W have left to reset with now?
Nothing. They capped the strike that they have under their control still, but that one is 50 seconds away from recharging, and this means that W now have to reset with their guns. I mean, yeah, Clerf gets the jump on towards YOLO, but that one is now hold down, able to shoot on towards Clerf while he has to approach. There is another baby strike that's going to prolong the game a little bit, but you can see Ios with a low HP Hurricane driving in towards Mouse. That's never a good sign. Nepal coming in as well, so maybe they're going to generate some baby strikes here?
I mean, they will generate some baby strikes off of that, but there's 2 seconds left on the cap. Itox might just about block it. He will, but that is just presenting himself as a target of opportunity for that double BZ. YOLO will be winning against Klurf as well. Klurf has the Inspire though, while YOLO doesn't, so YOLO could definitely use with Profuse inspiring anybody, and it's not going to be happening. So YOLO will actually be losing together with the strike coming out from the back lines from W. So this is becoming a little bit closer. Orzhek, however, finds Squeezy. Itox falling in the middle as well, and it did become closer, but still you have the problem that it's 3v3. They have 0 mini strikes.
They do have 0 mini strikes, and they have 26 seconds remaining until the base is capped out. That's the biggest problem. All of their tanks are one-shots for the guns of Mafia that are currently in the cap. Not a lot of HP remaining either, as Clerf starting to peek here, but Rexa is safe. Their shot does not hit the mark. Conrad managing to stay safe. There is a strike, though, that has been generated, but Clerf gets picked up. That is gun advantage, and no one by Mafia is very, very close to dying. Taking a look at the HP, Conrad 669. That is a very nice number to be at against a Hurricane and the K91.
Nepal needs to peek to reset. I was trying to get a different angle. He might find a shot against Rexa. He does, but the bigger problem is that even with a reset, it's 35 seconds until the game says that Mafia is going to win, and Mafia realize this as well. They're like, okay, well, we'll just go hide here in our little factory area. Hello, fellas! It's over. Mafia will pick up the second round of the first round of Pilsen, their second round in the match.
Nepal needs to get a shot into Conrad, and then Ios needs to finish off with the strike. But of course, that is the longest of possible shots here as another hill comes in. Conrad is able to one-shot Nepal here, and this means that W, it looked a little bit like La Rata, but it's going to fail them this time. And Mafia, I mean, what a weird game to be seeing on Pilsen here. You could definitely see the idea behind it from W, but once again, it was one of those ideas that depend on a lot of things going right, but the 268v4 falling this early certainly wasn't one of them.
No. Frugo kind of misplaying there, opening the game up, and with him dying, it was, you know,
an uphill battle for W from there on out. And I mean, Profuse, not the biggest of damage, but then again, 3 kills, staying alive as well, is one of the important things in the match here. It looked very interesting, and I think in a different world, W could take victory here, but I think Mafia just too experienced a team to fall to those kind of shenanigans. Because at the end of the day, that's what we just saw from W, right? Shenanigans.
It would work though. I think if Frugo doesn't die there, they're chilling, honestly, because I don't see how Mafia ever caps at that point. They have no more angles to cap with. They'll slowly lose control. They have no control of the match. They're pushed back into 1-3 line, and W is just chilling, you know? So, yeah, I think Frugo dying is the big difference there.
Well, this means that now Mafia, after getting surprised in the first game, come back with not one answer but two. They are up in the match now. And for W, I think it is... yeah, I mean, the times were dire before. It's not getting better at any point. They need to win. And that is the simple truth of it.
Yeah, but Mafia puts himself in prime position to take third round, though. And match point.
Seems like the return of the secret weapon so far. Jackafa, of course, so far not working out terribly.
He wasn't in this Pilsen round.
He wasn't in this Pilsen, but he was in the second Ensk. So I guess he's sitting on 50% win rate, which is still better than a lot of the W players this season, but it's still only 50%. So I think W,
hey, if you win 50%,
whatever they have remaining,
battle ski hand.
I actually don't know my win rate this season.
You win 50% of your battles, you go up, you know.
Well, W certainly isn't winning 50% of their battles right now, though. Sitting at 33% in this match. Quick maths. But yeah, I mean, we are joking around the fact that we are seeing the reigning champion being kind of on borderline danger of being eliminated.
I mean, they lose this one, it's going to be a really tough phase 2 for them, to be honest.
So I was calculating through it a little bit, and assuming they get the victory over Yogurt, for example, which I'm not even sure they were able to in phase 1. I think they did. No, they did not, actually. They still need, like, at least 3, if not 4 wins. So if they drop this match today against Mafia, then this would mean that the margin of error
There's one more match.
Is done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost yet, though, Kian, you know?
They haven't lost yet, but they're getting ever so closer to it. And for a team like W, that would be outrageous, to say the very least. So they're going to fight with grim determination. Let's wait and see if it is going to help them. They are certainly switching it up, though. Triple BZ75, double T57, an E50M, and a Hurricane.
Return Mafia E50M, 140, and 5 BZs. BZs stands
so
for 5.
Mafia, they want to force the issue. They are skipping all the subtleties that you sometimes see teams do. Instead, it is going to be rocket boosters into mid, into let's see what the opponent does. Meanwhile, for W, mostly a 1-2 line commitment. Mentos. They are splitting off the E50M, and yeah, Mentos is likely not going to have a fun match. Immediately taking 2 shots, retaliating onto YOLO, down towards 1800. Konrad and Orzik flanking already, down towards 1100 for Mentos. YOLO about to be reloaded. The double T57 from W has arrived, but they're not able to keep Mentos from blowing up. Now W coming back into it, but the T57 still not unloaded.
The strike will hit on towards 2 of the BZs, but the thing is, W is always chasing. They're trailing right now. Konrad already pushing back in from behind. His BZs now staying alive. Yuzek getting shielded by Orzik as well. The heal coming in as well to get him above the 650 boundary, which they just did. He's not a one-shot anymore. They're even leaving him behind as these 57s are now trying to run for their dear life, trying to escape. Profuse is beating IOS on the field as well in that Object 140, and that's the thing. W did a lot of damage with those 57 heavies, but they were already a gun down the entire time, and Yuzek still alive. YOLO hunting for Frugo. Profuse beating IOS. It's going from worse to an absolute disaster for the side of W as this opening move from Mafia breaks their backs altogether, and they are going to be looking at a match point for Mafia after Pilsen number 2.
W not even winning the one-on-one medium battle on the field here. The 140 of Profuse is going to have the better end of that one. Continuous Inspire still coming in from Mafia, and for W, well, we spoke of dire times. We are still there, but it's only getting worse and worse. This very, very simple strategy from Mafia, essentially, well, pick a bunch of BZs, drive towards middle end and see what the opponent does. Maybe we'll get a lucky pickup. It just works.
It's honestly pretty tough. You know, they've had 2 weeks now, come back, and yeah, Mafia's playing well. They always are, to be honest, playing well. They never really have off days, but in this, yeah, W got rolled, man. And it all comes off Mentos dying of no fault of his own, right? The opening move from Mafia is just far, far superior.
I mean, sometimes it's a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. And here, Mafia was the rock. And they just managed to smash through the tactic that W was employing. And yeah, it was a lot of subtlety trying to come out of W. I think T57, double T57 even, it's always trying to be like sneaky, cheeky, all of that kind of stuff. But Mafia having absolutely none of it. Immediately going ham, netting themselves the third victory in the match. And this is going to in turn mean match point, and W, well, the people that were waiting for the resurrection story of that team, they're still waiting.
Well, they still have opportunities, Ken.
The first one is now. And I think W as well in Season 2. I know I am the old guy speaking, digging up stories from the past. But in Season 2, I think was the season where W continuously went down in Phase 2 towards tiebreaker or towards match point for the opposing team. And then it seemed like a switch was flipped. And then they started playing, and it was beautiful to see. But are they going to be able to do the same thing here? That is, of course, the question, because if you're letting the opposing team get towards match point, that means that most of the time they have been playing better so far as well, and they're going to be on a hype train. They're going to be on a roll. First of all, you need to break that, and Mafia, even if they lose one round here, their spirits are going to be far from broken.
No, I mean, Mafia's chilling now. They're moving on to Himmel's 3-1. Knockout punch, key hand. Do you think it's happening?
I don't think I'm a believer. I am maybe still a believer in my prediction for the match, which was a 4-2. I thoroughly believe that W is more than capable of taking on a round, maybe another 2. But what we've seen so far leads me to believe that Mafia, they've used the mid-season break just in a better and more effective and more efficient way.
I mean, they're running some good stuff. It's going well for them as well. Pretty happy that they're doing this well. They're also my bundle purchase for the season, you know. So the better they do, the more confidence I have in it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy tonight, and I can tell you so far it's not looking like a W purchase.
Wow.
What am I supposed to tell you?
Gotta believe in the underdog, no?
I was considering believing before the match, but now not so sure anymore. Anyway, W fighting for survival in the match and possibly already in the season here. A Type 5 heavy, triple E50M, so a lot of DPM, together with a Hurricane and WE4.
Mafia in return, Bliska 140, IS7 and 4 BZs. They're going for the push again.
I think this time W have a chance of receiving well and then dealing a lot of damage. Because the Type 5 of Mentos, if you can get the BZs to engage on towards that one and then have crossfire with the E50Ms, it can go very well. If it's the E50Ms receiving the push and one of them gets blown up immediately, it's a problem. Ios in the Hurricane is going to open up towards the middle, sees the double BZ immediately, both of them missing though, so he's going to get out unscathed.
Nepal and Frugo just continuing down the 8 line, but Orchek shows up and gives them a shot.
And the problem is here, Orchek manages to fade away, and they know they cannot really cross the 8 line right now because the double BZ plus the I7 from the 3 line is already starting to transition through. Instead, Mafia are flipping the no-you card. They are the ones to engage in towards the 8 line. Itox taking the brunt of the damage. He cannot really reverse either because Rexa and YOLO already in position. W will have to sell out that E4 that was too slow with driving out. He's going to get double tap. He is going to fall. First kill for Mafia.
Black Friday came early for Mafia, quite early altogether. The strike not hitting that much, so only connecting on towards the IOS. Rex are now pushing across. Mafia is committed to this push with that BZ pushing across the road. Nepal shuts down Conrad, and this is Mafia going a little bit too far themselves into those E50Ms, giving them the opportunity to focus fire as well. Now YOLO is going to be the next one in that IS-7. Orchak trying to block at least one of them, but you can see the struggles of that Bliskavice. Rexar still alive on a one-shot. Orchak gives the shot. Rexar with the pickup. The 1-2 combination. Mafia there with a knockout punch attempt. They almost get clapped back, but they do somehow hold on yet again because of that first kill advantage. Klurf dead and Squeezy and Mentos the last two standing, and Squeezy will get chased down and put into the grave as well as Orchak picks it up, and W is in the hospital. They're not dead yet, Kihan, but the heartbeat, it's slowing down. Losing against Mafia 4-1, and that playoff's getting ever further away.
And man, this match looked pretty good for them until it absolutely didn't. Mafia managing to keep those one-shots alive for those crucial 1 or 2 shots more. And you said it, W in the hospital. I would go even as far to say W on life support at this point in time. No HE penetration to finish off the game for Mentos either. Mafia 4-1 scoreline, and man, for W, it was looking bad going into this match here. What am I supposed to say? It's looking worse now, a lot worse for them even. There were some rounds in this match where they showed signs of life. This round here as well, with some of the reloads by seconds just not going their way. I think 4-1, this is actually one of the matches where you can say it was a little bit closer than the scoreline suggests, but at the end of the day, still a very deserved victory for Mafia.
Yeah, they played lights out. They made it work. They did what they needed to do and found a very good pace in this match. W just still seeming like a former shadow of themselves in the corner where the punches are landing over and over. And you talked about margin of error. They're going to have to basically win out the rest of the season.
They are going to have to play most likely a perfect rest of the season. Maybe they're still allowed to like drop a point, like have a tiebreaker victory, but I am fairly certain they kind of need to win all of their coming matches, especially considering the fact that, well, all the points that were distributed today were distributed towards teams in the top 4, right? Because Yogurt didn't manage to take any points away from one of the top 4 teams either, because of the 4-0 crushing defeat that they had against Hit and Run. And that is something that W and Yogurt need to hope for both, is that both of them help each other out by winning against those top 4 teams. That didn't happen. So, yeah, playdays though. We are seeing once again the calendar, and as you can see, the OLS, despite being over for 2 teams already, is far from being concluded. Today was the first playday of the Phase 2, and we are going to be back on Thursday with more action.
Yeah, then Thursday, then Sunday. And we're going to have to, like, Hit and Run is, not locked in yet, I guess. We'd have to look at the map, but we can kind of count them out of contention already. Like, say that, okay, they're going to be in the playoffs no matter what. So I think for W, they want Hit and Run to win out the rest of the season.
Except against themselves.
Except against W, because Hit and Run played Yogurt today. So they only...
I think Mafia, same thing, because Mafia is now on 20 points just like Hit and Run, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In that case, yeah, you want those... For W, the ideal scenario is the top 2, just running away with it, beating everybody, and having a good old time. And then weekend, cashback, right, need to start losing.
I mean, they probably want for cashback to win as well, and just weekend to lose because yeah. Essentially, both Yogurt and W both want weekend to lose from now on, and everyone else to win. It is a tough life, but to be honest, they have put themselves into this position as well. There is no one else but themselves to blame, and that can sometimes be a huge burden on the mentality of those players too. First of all, though, before we get into too much of the grim reality of the standings here, of course, today there were 5 tokens up for grabs for the OLS token store. And of course, the OLS bundles are still available for purchase. All of them, save the 2 prediction bundles for the teams that were already knocked out. And today, once again, reminder, is the last day for the OLS Oracle bundles. If you still want to purchase one of them, tomorrow morning, I believe they are going to be discontinued. So there will still be the base and the advanced bundle, but the supporters, the Oracle bundles, those will not be there anymore.
So who are you going to get?
I think I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to get both Mafia and Hit.
Well, looking at their points, not a bad shout whatsoever. They're leading the pack with 20 points. W is already 11 points ahead, behind those, with only 5 more matches to play, right? Or four more matches to play, with a maximum of 16 points. They're not going to catch those guys. Cashback is 9 points away, so that's 3 matches they need to win. They're realistically not going to catch those guys.
Nah.
The only opportunity here for both W and Yogurt is weekend, I think. That's the only ones.
Yeah, and weekend is 1 and a bit away. Keep in mind, every match in Phase 2 gives you 4 points. So 1 win is not enough for W and Yogurt. 2 would be. And of course, for us, that would be cool as well, to just see the bottom 2 teams closing in. So there is a lot of suspense as to who's going to get knocked out and who is going to actually make it in towards the playoffs as well. But for now, it looks like there are 3 teams that are not so endangered anymore. And to be honest, for weekend, I mean, they lost today, but they can still put themselves in towards a very comfortable position because only 4 points separate them from cashback as well. So yeah, those are going to be interesting times that are following, but that will be another story. That's going to be for Thursday. We are done for today, but of course, if you are not done yet with your drops, with your OLS tokens, then as per usual, we are going to rate this beautiful man to my side here, the daddy of cats, as some call him, and you can finish your drops there. That being said, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you the day after tomorrow.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.